When I was born, my eyes were sealed shut by 2 sword marks. For 20 years, Master locked them with his sword will. He kept the seal in my eyes, suppressed deep in the darkness. But today, the seal finally backfired. Sword energy ripped my heart vessels apart bit by bit. Even breathing felt like swallowing blades. The sect doctor only left one message: without a pure sword heart to suppress it, Lin Yuan might not make it through the night. So Master Zhao Hanyi stayed silent for a long time. He sent everyone else away, cut open his chest himself, and took out his own Linglong sword heart. I didn't expect to trigger a system alert right then. Choice 1. Accept the Linglong sword heart and get the 4 immortal slaying swords. Start an unstoppable journey from here, and eventually reach the pinnacle as sword god across all worlds. Choice 2. Refuse the reward and activate the sword draw critical system. If I fit the system's target, I can get all kinds of ultimate sword arts. Are you kidding me? How is a blind guy like me, who can't even find the sword hilt, supposed to draw a sword? Are you blind or am I? First sword draw guarantees 10x critical hit. Hearing that, I was thrilled. I never thought my first drop rate would be this insane. I wanted to just grab a random tree branch to see if the system would even count it as a sword. But before my hand could touch the hilt, people started yelling angrily right by my ear. Lin Yuan, do you know how pure the Linglong sword heart is? Master Hanyi dug out his own heart for you. And you're still hesitating? A blind guy getting the Linglong sword heart is already crazy lucky for you. The ones speaking were senior brother Lu Jinghong and several of the sect elders. Outwardly, they scolded me for being clueless. But underneath, they were hinting that, if I didn't want it, the Linglong sword heart should go to the sect. Lu Jinghong coldly added Lin Yuan. You're too weak to handle the Linglong sword heart. If you know what's best for you, you should make the right choice for Master Zhao. I heard my master's rough breathing, knowing even standing was hard for him now. I didn't move right away. Instead, I reached out toward the sword heart in his palm. Everyone thought I was going to accept it. But in the next moment, I pushed the Linglong sword heart back to Master. Word by word, I said, Master's sword heart. I don't want it. I'd rather stay blind forever. I can live without ever holding a sword hilt. But my path with the sword can't start by hurting him. The room went dead quiet. Lu Jinghong was stunned at first, then gave a cold laugh. Don't want it. Fine, then this sacred item deserves to belong to the sect. He finished, then reached straight for the Linglong sword heart. I couldn't see his move, but I heard sword energy from his sleeve slice through the air. The system alert sounded just then. Detected a possible bond target. Red target shows obsession.
Taking the Linglong sword heart.
Becoming the sect's sword bearer. Bind now? I sneered inside. So that's how it is. He also hides his own sword within. I chose to bind, no hesitation. Lu Jinghong struck fast. None of the elders nearby stopped him, because they wanted to see if I, the blind one, truly didn't want the Linglong sword heart, or was just playing noble. Master tried hard to protect me, but without his sword heart, his energy rebelled inside him, and he passed out. Rage burned inside me, but I had to stay calm. The system demanded I draw a sword, but I had no sword. I didn't even know where Lu Jinghong's sword was. Lu Jinghong saw I was struggling, so he stabbed his Jinghong sword into the ground on purpose. The sword gave a loud chime. Just 3 steps from me, he mocked. Lin Yuan. The sword's right here. If you really have guts, pull it out and show me. The crowd of disciples burst out laughing. He can't even walk straight, and he wants to draw a sword? Master Zhao offered his sword heart to this loser. What a joke. I didn't argue back, because I really couldn't reach that sword. I reached out forward, my fingers scraping the cold floor. I was so close to the hilt. But Lu Jinghong deliberately used sword energy to push me off. My palm was sliced open, blood dripping to the ground. Shame rushed over me. The kingly stood at the back, watching my bloody hands with a complex look. He once pitied me, but even he couldn't bear to watch now and closed his eyes. He didn't want to look anymore. A nobody should just act like one. You're not fit to be Master Zhao's disciple, let alone worth him sacrificing his heart for you. That line hit my last nerve. Suddenly, I realized the system didn't say I had to pull a sword out by hand. It might not mean pulling out a real sword. Right now, Lu Jinghong's sharpest blade wasn't the Jinghong sword stuck in the ground, but his burning desire to steal the sword heart and crush me. So I stopped reaching for the hilt. With useless eyes shut, I followed his voice and grabbed his sleeve instead. Lu Jinghong froze. What are you doing? In my heart, I told the system. I'm going to draw the sword hidden in his heart. The system paused a moment, then confirmed. First draw conditions met. Target for sword draw. Lu Jinghong with obsession found. Begin sword draw. In an instant, I heard a sword sing that only I could hear. It wasn't a real blade leaving a sheath. It was the obsession in Lu Jinghong's heart, being forced out. His face changed instantly, like his soul had a bone ripped out. He jumped back half a step. And in my palm, a strand of invisible sword energy appeared. System alert. First sword draw success. Obtained incomplete Jinghong sword intent. 10x critical bonus triggered. Congrats! Gained formless sword intent. The instant the formless sword intent entered my body, my world was still pitch black. But for the first time, I could hear swords. I heard Jinghong's scabbard trembling at his waist, elders secretly channeling sword energy in their fingers, and Master's Linglong sword heart, weak but still beating bravely. Slowly, I stood up. Lu Jinghong grew furious, but forced himself to stay calm.
His mind was shaky.
But he drew the Jinghong sword and stabbed at me. He wanted to cripple me before anyone could react. I didn't dodge. I just raised 2 fingers and caught his sword's edge. Everyone gasped. Everyone in the shop was stunned by me blocking Jinghong's sword with just 2 fingers. Especially those same disciples who mocked me earlier. Now, one by one, they were all choking on their words. They watched me crawling on the ground, my hands bleeding. But right now, I was holding Lu Jinghong's sword tight between my fingers. Lu Jinghong couldn't believe it, so he pushed his energy like crazy. The Jinghong sword lit up with sharp sword light. Sword energy blew wild inside it, even forcing disciples to back off. I couldn't see the sword light, but I could hear its every move. The power of formless sword intent is that it doesn't rely on form. Others see the light. They see the forms and stances. But what I hear is the breath of the sword. Lu Jinghong's sword looks fierce, but it's actually unsteady, because that trace of Jinghong's sword intent in his heart was partly drawn out by me. His sword is no longer whole. I spoke softly. Lu Jinghong, your sword is shaking. As soon as I said that, Lu Jinghong looked even worse, because only he knew the Jinghong sword really was shaking. He was furious and went for the kill. Jinghong flash aimed right at my throat. Master forced himself to shout my name. The kingly couldn't help but cry out, but I just shifted half an inch. The sword grazed my throat, slicing off a strand of hair. Then I flicked my finger. Ding! The Jinghong sword let out a wail. Lu Jinghong was blasted back 7 steps. The hall fell silent. A blind guy, a so-called useless disciple, actually beat the top student of King Xuan's sword sect. Lu Jinghong still wanted to fight, but an elder stopped him. On the surface, the elder scolded him, but actually shot a cold glare at me. The Linglong sword core is the sect's treasure. Zhao Hanyi gave it away without permission. That's breaking sect rules. Since you refuse to fuse with it, the sword core has to be kept by the sect. I got it. When they can't win, they start talking rules. Master weakly said the Linglong sword core is mine. Not the sect's, Zhao Hanyi. You're head of King Yuan Sword Peak. You owe all your cultivation to the sect. So your sword core should serve the bigger cause. That was seriously shameless. I was about to speak up, but the system suddenly prompted me. Linglong's sword core detected leaving the body, decaying. If not restored in 3 days, the donor's sword veins will collapse. My heart tightened. So even if I refuse to fuse with it, Master's sword core can't leave his body for long. I have to get it back to him soon. But with everyone watching, if I look too strong, the higher-ups will be even more wary. They'll definitely watch me closely. I told the elder, since you say follow the rules, Let's follow the rules then. King Xuan's sword sect has an old rule. If a disciple won't accept an elder's ruling, you can challenge on the sword trial platform. Let swords settle the matter. In 3 days, I'll challenge on the sword trial platform. If I lose, the Linglong sword core is yours to do with. If I win, you can't touch my master's sword core again. Besides that, the sword pool must grant the Bushan sword record. You still dare ask for more? The Linglong sword core is out of the body, without the Bushan sword record in 3 days. Master's sword path will be ruined. If you're always talking about rules, then tell them all. If I lose, the sword core is yours. If I win, the Bushan sword record goes to Han Yufeng.
If I win,
And anyone dares hurt my master, I'll just take their sword. As soon as I said that, the place went wild. Lu Jinghong sneered.
he thinks me blocking his sword.
Was just luck. 3 days later on the sword trial platform, he plans to destroy me in public. Fine, if that's how you want it. Lin Yuan insists on this. 3 days from now, sword trial platform. 3 days, sword trial platform. I, as elder, approve. The enforcing elder agreed as well. They planned to use the platform to crush me and Zhao Hanyi at once. Only master grabbed my hand and quietly said, Ling Yu, you shouldn't do this for me. I squeezed his cold hand back. Master, this time let me protect you. After we returned to Hanyi Peak, master completely passed out. I placed the Linglong sword core on his chest. But it wouldn't? Go back in. Taking out a core is easy, fixing it isn't. You need the Bushan sword record. Only that can reconnect the Linglong sword core. But the Bushan sword record is only in the sword pool. And the sword pool is controlled by the sect head. Lu Jinghong is the top sword pool disciple. So that means 3 days from now on the sword trial platform, I not only have to win, but make them hand over the Bushan sword record. The Kingly secretly found Han Yufeng, Lu Jinghong says. He's going to beat you in 3 days. And prove you just cheated with what Master Zhao left you. The enforcement hall plans to dig into it after. Han Yufeng. I'm not surprised. Senior Lin. Do you even have a sword? I paused a moment and answered honestly. Nope. The Kingly was stumped. I really don't have a sword. My master was always scared I'd hurt myself, so he never let me carry one. Not even a disciple's sword suited for me. Han Yifeng looked me over. Couldn't find a single sword for me. The Kingly got anxious. Senior Lin, borrow mine. But I turned him down, because drawing a sword, as the system says, doesn't even need a fancy blade. I wanted to test something. Wuxiang sword intent. Can it make anything a sword? I felt my way to the yard and broke off a dried branch. The Kingly wanted to stop me. He probably thought I was crazy. I gripped the branch and quietly called, draw sword. Detected. Regular branch. Proceed with Wuxiang sword draw. Warning. Common items can't hold much power. Forcing it may break it. I didn't hesitate. The moment I drew, the branch quivered in my hand. It didn't turn into a magic weapon. No earth-shattering sound either. But I heard a faint sword ring. Draw succeeded. Gained a hint of plant sword aura. Critical bonus earned Greenwood sword intent. With that Greenwood sword intent in me, I could sense Master's broken sword veins. This sword intent can't fix the Linglong sword core, but it can protect his heart temp and stop the crack from spreading. I touched the dead branch to Master's brow. A wisp of green sword intent flows into him. Master's furrowed brow finally relaxes. His breathing becomes steady. The Kingly watches this scene, too shocked to speak. I actually used a branch to channel sword intent. And it's not for killing. It's for saving lives. Just then, noise erupts outside the peak. Lu Jinghong's enforcement disciples have arrived. They claim to be on orders from the hall. All swords, pills, and stones on Hanyi Peak must be temporarily sealed to stop me from cheating in 3 days. The Kingly turns pale with rage. They are clearly trying to ruin me, but I only smile. They seal the energy, pills, and stones. But can they seal the mountain's flora? I walk out leaning on that dead branch, seeing the branch in my hand. The disciples mock me. You don't plan to take that to the duel, do you? I don't explain. I just raise the branch and make a light stroke. Suddenly, along the paths of Hanyi Peak, the dry grass bows down in unison, like 10,000 blades bowing to me. The disciples' laughter stops abruptly. I say calmly, go tell Lu Jinghong. In 3 days, I won't need Master's sword heart, nor the sect's sword energy. A dead branch is enough to beat him. After the disciples leave, Hanyi Peak becomes quiet again. But my heart is far from peaceful. The system's prompt still echoes in my mind. Sleeping sword bone detected beneath Hanyi Peak. Its aura is linked to the host's bloodline. I stand in the yard with the branch for a long time. The mountain wind blows, rustling the leaves in my ears. In the past, I would have found these sounds chaotic. But since the formless sword intent entered me, I can hear through the wind, distinguishing many subtle details. The sound of grass bending, the flow of cold air through stone cracks, and also from deep, deep down, a low sword hum from underground. The hum is very faint, yet it calls my name across the ages. Senior brother Lin. The Kingly stands behind me, her voice filled with worry. I snap out of it. Did you hear anything? She looks stunned. The wind and the pines on the back mountain. I shake my head. Something else. I point the branch toward the back mountain. There is a sword. The Kingly is silent for a moment. She doesn't doubt me, nor does she ask questions. I'll go with you. I don't refuse. Master is still asleep in the room. The heaven mending manual is not yet mine. The sword heart is only held by temporary intent. The duel is in 3 days. I should be preparing fully. But since the system gave a prompt now, it means what's under Hanyi Peak. It means the thing under Hanyi Peak is vital to my survival. The Kingly and I head down the stone steps. The night is dark. I can't see the moonlight, but I hear the wind in the trees, the distant spring hitting rocks, and from under Hanyi Peak, that ever-clearing sword hum. It's right here. This is the old sword terrace of Hanyi Peak. It's been abandoned for many years. I heard that when Peak Master Zhao joined, he used to practice here. I crouched down and touched the ground. I whispered to the system in my mind. Can I pull it? The reply comes quickly. Bloodline target, Lin family remnant sword bone. Currently sealed. Dormant. Extraction reminder. This target involves the host's karma. Extraction may cause memory shocks. Memory shocks? My fingers pause. The Kingly notices my hesitation. She asks softly, Senior brother Lin, is it dangerous? I smile slightly. Not necessarily dangerous, but it might hurt. She wants to persuade me, but I've placed the branch in the crack. Sword intent flows down the branch. The old terrace trembles slightly. The stone doesn't crack, nor is there a deafening roar, but the world around me suddenly fades away. Wind, grass, and water sounds turn faint. In their place, a blurry vision appears. No, not a vision. I cannot see. It's more like a memory in the sword hum. I hear someone running frantically. The clash of sword energy, and a gentle yet firm male voice say, take the child and go. A woman's voice, soft, yet filled with resolve. He cannot fall into their hands. My heart tightens. The voice is unfamiliar, yet it makes me instinctively sad. Then I hear a haughty voice say, this child has no light in his eyes. Perfect for the formless sword. My eyes suddenly burn with pain. It's not an ordinary pain. It's like something, an old seal, is being touched by the sword hum. I groan and fall to one knee. Senior brother. The Kingly supports me. I grit my teeth and don't let go. I can't retreat. I don't know the voices or what the formless sword means, but I know one thing. The sword below is linked to my past. I must pull it out. Extract, I command in my mind. The branch shudders. The long dormant hum from the terrace suddenly roars. A warm sword intent rises from the crack and into my palm. It's not sharp like Lu Jinghong's, nor gentle like the green intent. It carries a deep sense of protection, like hands that once shielded me. The system chime follows. Ding. Extraction successful. Obtained. Remnant sword intent. 100x crit multiplier triggered. Host obtained. Bloodline sword seeking art. The moment the art enters my body, I hear a new layer of sound in the world. It's not a sword hum, but an echo of karma. I sense an aura similar to the remnant intent. Faint, but very real. I look toward Kingshuan main peak. Senior brother, what did you find? Lu Jingheng has sword energy, similar to this place. Is he related to your past?
Not necessarily.
But at least. He touched things he shouldn't have. Toward the distant main peak, a sword light briefly flashes and quickly vanishes. I hear Lu Jingheng's sword humming. In that sound is a chill that doesn't belong to the sect. I suddenly realize the duel in 3 days is more than just a fight with him. It's the first door to my past, and Lu Jingheng is the lock. The next morning, someone arrives at Hanyi Peak. The next morning, people arrive at Hanyi Peak. Quite a few people. Leading them is Lu Jingheng. His steps are steady, his robes rustling. The sword at his waist isn't as clear as before, since I pulled that intent from him. His sword hum has a hint of stagnation. This stagnation. Others can't hear it, but I can hear it clearly. Before he even reaches the kingly, she blocks the gate. Senior brother Lu, Master Zhou is recovering. Hanyi Peak is not seeing guests. Junior sister, you misunderstand. I'm not here to disturb Uncle Zhao. The elder sent me with healing pills. He speaks politely, but from the sound of his sleeve moving, I hear his suppressed smugness. I open the door. Pills? Lin Yuan, the duel was set yesterday. The sect wants no rumors of unfairness, so they sent me with meridian-protecting pills. If Uncle Zhao takes them, he can at least last 3 days. Why? Will you refuse the sect's kindness? Or are you afraid I've poisoned them? I see through his plan. Hands and feet. I get what he means. If I refuse, he can say I'm ignoring the sect's kindness. If I accept, and the pills are faulty, my master's in danger. If I question him in public, without proof, he could flip the script. Say I'm slandering fellow disciple Lu Jingheng. He's not here to provoke blindly. He's setting a trap. I reach out. Hand it to me. The kingly spoke quietly. Senior brother Lin? I shook my head. Let him know it's fine. The jade bottle landed in my palm. It felt cool. I couldn't see the pills inside, but I used my bloodline sword sense to feel their aura. At first, it was just normal medicinal energy, but when I listened closer with my sword intent, I heard deep within the pills a tiny, tiny trace of sword resonance. It's not a deadly sword, but a cold sword energy that invades sword veins. It won't cause instant harm, just slowly. Mess up my master's just stabilized sword heart. Once the sword platform match begins in 3 days, master's condition will crash. Lu Jingheng wants me distracted, and even hopes I'll lose my last support before the sword stage. Lose my last support before the sword stage. Why are you laughing? I just didn't expect senior brother Lu to care that much. Master. After speaking, I released my grip. The jade bottle dropped. With a crack, the bottle shattered. The pills rolled out. A faint chill flowed from the pills.
Landing.
Spilled onto the stone slab. The slab didn't show any harmful signs. Just quickly frosted over. The courtyard went quiet instantly. The kingly's face changed. The disciplinary disciples froze. I bent down to pick up a pill. This is the Sword Pool Elder's protective pill. Ling Yuan, you broke the bottle on purpose. Now you want to slander me too. I threw the pill at some dry grass to the side. The pill landed. Fine frost lines appeared on the dry grass. The grass didn't die, but stiffened up fast, like some cold sword energy froze its life. Maybe this pill protects normal veins. But for a just separated, an unstable sword heart, it'll cause trouble. Senior brother Lu, you're a sword command disciple. You can't be clueless about this. Lu Jingheng's face darkened. He definitely knows. Just didn't expect a blind guy like me to find it. The disciples behind him grew uneasy. One whispered, Senior brother Lu. Did sword fanatic elder really give these pills? Lu Jingheng shot him a cold look. I didn't let him change the subject. Senior brother Lu. You said these came from Sword Pool Elder. So, You didn't craft these yourself. Lu Jingheng's eyes shifted. Of course they're from the elder. Good. I'll ask Sword Fanatic Elder to explain on stage. I'll ask Sword Fanatic Elder to explain on stage. Lu Jingheng couldn't hide his cold glare anymore. He stepped forward, voice low. Lin Yu. You think beating my sword once lets you take me on? I gripped the dry branch. It's not a fight. You guys tried to use the rules against me. I'll use them back. Lu Jingheng paused, then suddenly smiled. Fine. He turned and left, passing by me.
He whispered just for me to hear.
On sword platform. I'll show you that borrowed sword intent was never yours. I didn't answer, because right as he got close, my bloodline sword sense pulsed again. That strange sword energy in him was clearer than yesterday. It's not from King Xuan, nor from sword teeth. It's higher, colder, almost like fate. System notification sounded. Detected foreign sword seed inside target. Origin unknown. Quality, King Xuan. Zhan sect inheritance. Recommend caution when extracting. I faced Lu Jingheng's direction as he left. Lightly touched the dry branch. 3 days later, he wants to step on me to show off. But he doesn't know. The sword seed he brings is truly the sword sent to me. The night before sword stage, Han Yifeng was even more tightly sealed. Disciplinary hall sent guards, blocking the mountain path. No disciples allowed in or out. The reason sounded grand. They said it was to keep the match fair, to prevent secret sword energy, pills, arrays, or any odd stuff. Sounds like a rule. But really, it's about cutting people off. The Kingly was stopped outside the peak. Didn't get here till after dark, taking the back path. He brought nothing. Just some news. Senior brother Lin. Lu Jinheng set up a broken wood sword array on sword stage. I sat in the yard, holding my dry branch. Broken wood sword array. Not just for show. It messes with spiritual senses. Lu Jinheng thinks you blocked his sword. Because you got his sword. Got some kind of sword sense. So he asked Tang Zhanting to set it up. Tomorrow, once you hit the stage, all your senses will be disrupted. I chuckled after hearing that. The Kingly got anxious. Senior brother Lin, why are you laughing? I just feel he's really thorough. How is that thorough? He's clearly targeting you. Targeting me means he's scared. The Kingly, if he really thought he'd win, he wouldn't use so many tactics up front. The more he sets up, the less confident he is. Still, I'm not underestimating him. Lu Jingheng's no fool. If the broken wood array only messes with vision, it means nothing to me. But if it messes with all 5 senses, even my hearing, that's trouble. I need a new way before dawn. The Kingly stayed at Master's door. I went alone to the back mountain. The night wind was cold. I meditated. Sitting beside the old sword platform, the dry branch rested across my knees. My sword intent let me listen to the sword. The greenwood sword intent let me sense the life in plants. Lin Clan crippled sword intent let me touch my bloodline. But those sword intents are all separate now. None have truly become my sword. Tomorrow on the sword stage, Lu Jingheng won't let me ease in anymore. I need a move of my own. I slowly raised the dry branch. Plants can be swords. No answer. Only the wind passing by. Grass leaves rustling. I listened to the plants with my sword intent. Pull them with greenwood sword intent. At first, plants just swayed lightly. No pattern. If my sword intent got strong, they couldn't handle it, and snapped. First failure. Second time, couldn't handle it. The sword intent split in the middle. I changed the branch. Third try. I tried using both wuxiang and greenwood sword intents together, but they clashed, shaking my palm numb. Fourth, fifth try. 10th. It got darker and darker. My fingers ached from gripping the sword again and again. Old wounds on my palm broke open. Not exaggerated pain, just sharp stabs reminding me I'm still far from being strong enough. Suddenly, I remembered my master's words. You don't learn swordsmanship just by looking. So what does it take? It's about knowing why you hold your sword. Why do you hold your sword? I used to hold my sword to prove even the blind can become sword cultivators. Later on, I held my sword just so I wouldn't drag master down. Now, I turn my ear toward Han Yifeng. My master breathes quietly inside. The disciples outside walk heavily. And farther away, Qinshuan Peak's lights never go out. Many are waiting to watch me fail tomorrow. Suddenly, it all made sense. I'm not holding my sword to silence them. I'm holding it to stop those who try to take away others' choices, to make them back off. My sword doesn't need to be sharp and obvious. As long as it protects those behind me, that's enough. The moment my mind settled on this thought, Qingmu's sword intent stopped resisting. The Wuxiang sword intent. Both flowed together like wind and grass, finally finding the same rhythm. I raised the dead branch, gently tapped forward, and saw all the grass around the platform bow low at once. They weren't being crushed. It was as if they were obeying orders. I waved again. Countless blades of grass rose with the wind. No iron sword here, but the grass formed a flexible sword force in the air. They harmed neither stones nor plants, just surrounded me 3 meters tight, creating a solid shield. System notification rang out. Created a solid shield. System notification rang out. Sword technique prototype formed. Activated all things as soldiers straight. Drawing from all things. Sword formation established. Best for defense, breaking arrays, and control. I let out a deep breath. The sky was turning pale. Kingli came running from the mountain path. She saw grass around the old ship platform swaying toward me. Too shocked to speak. I stood up, still holding the dead branch. Let's go, she asked instinctively. Where? Sword platform. Detected. Sword platform has an array targeting host senses. 7 core points found. Recommend probing the array with all things as soldiers. I gave a soft smile. Lu Jinghong set up an array for me. Good. I want to see if all this grass and wood can carry my sword intent, and challenge King Xuan's rules. The sword platform is set halfway up Qingshuan Peak. When I arrived, people packed the space under the platform. Qingquan disciples, law elders, and sword-obsessed elders. Even some peak leaders who seldom show up were there. Everyone stared right at me. I couldn't see, but I could hear. Some breathing with anticipation, some whispering with sarcasm, others staying quiet, only wanting to watch Han Yifeng, the blind disciple, to see how far he'd go. The kingly stood with master far away. Master was still weak, but insisted. Still weak, but insisted on coming. Lin Yuan, don't push yourself. Just admit defeat if you can't stand it. Master, I won't lose today. He paused, then smiled softly. Good. I held the dead branch and walked step by step onto the sword platform. Lu Jinghong was already waiting for me up there, his Jinghong sword halfway drawn, far sharper than days before, and way more unfamiliar. Clearly, the foreign sword seed inside him had grown stronger. He didn't speak loudly, but everyone below could hear. Lin Yuan, are you seriously using that dead branch against me? I raised my dead branch. Why not? Muffled laughter came from the crowd below. Really using a dead branch? Isn't it silly to fight with a stick up there? Lu, one strike will break it. I ignored Lu Jinghong, but enjoyed the noise. This is exactly what he wanted. He wants me to look foolish in front of everyone, then defeat me himself, so he can wipe away his embarrassment from earlier. Today's duel follows King Xuan's rules. If Lin Yuan loses, Linglong's sword heart will be kept by the sect. If Lin Yuan wins, the sect will grant the Bushan sword manual to help Zhao Hanyi restore his sword heart.
Understood.
Since you get it. Let's start. Suddenly, the sounds around my ears went wild. The wind got erratic, and voices below were a blur. Lin Yuan, can you still hear my sword? Broken wood sword array. Lu Jinghong even prepared this. 2. This is the end for Lin Yuan. Lu thinks I'm trapped. He slowly draws his sword. Jinghong's sword unsheathed. Sword, key aimed straight at my forehead. But as he took his first step, I tapped the ground gently with my branch. All things as soldiers. The sword platform's not barren. There's tiny grass in the cracks, with ivy winding on the edges. Usually, no one notices this life. But guided by Qingmu's sword intent, they become my senses. The broken wood sword array messes up my perception. But not the instincts of grass and wood. Where the wind blows, the grass bends, sword key passes, the vines wrap. Where's the array's core? Life is suppressed where the array lies. I can't hear Lu Jinghong's steps, but I hear a blade of grass bending under sword key. It's sound bending. I move half an inch aside. Lu's sword barely brushes past my shoulder. Laughter stopped instantly below. Lu missed his strike. He was clearly stunned. I didn't counter, just tapped at a stone crack on the platform. Snap, the first core shattered. The confusion from the broken wood sword array weakened. How could you find the array core? Because your array is uglier than your sword. A stir ran through the crowd. Lu gritted his teeth and attacked again. This time, he moved even faster. 3 sword lights came at me from different directions. At the same time, the 6 cores increased interference. In my ears, the world twisted again. But all things as soldiers was already in place. I stepped forward, tapping twice with my branch. 2nd core broke. 3rd core broke. Each time I broke one, the crowd quieted. Those who waited for me to embarrass myself finally realized something. I'm not just lucky. I'm truly breaking through. I'm not lucky. I'm really breaking Lu Jinghong's game. Lin Yuan. You think destroying the array means you'll beat me? The array is your courage. But sword is your real skill. Now let me see your skill. Lu Jinghong finally drew Jinghong's sword fully. The sword cried sharply, carrying a coldness not his own. System notification rang out. Detected external sword seed target. Active. Can be bound. Extraction risk, medium. I gripped my dead branch on the platform. The real match starts now. Once Lu fully unleashed his sword, the atmosphere on the platform changed at once. The earlier arrays and tricks were just surface fog. Only now,
His Jinghong sword is fully drawn.
I finally heard the repressed edge in that sword. He was fast and cold. But what caught my focus was the strange voice deep inside its cry. That voice wasn't King Xuan's sect's sword intent. King Xuan's sword intent values clarity and openness. Even if someone strays, the base remains clear. But the foreign sword master inside Lu's sword felt like an order, forcing his sword on a more extreme path. Lu Jinghong stabbed with his sword. The wind stabs in like a sword. Most people below the stage haven't even reacted yet. The sword tip is already right in front of me. The broken wood array hasn't been fully dismantled. I still hear noise in my ears. Lu Jinghong seized this moment. His sword movements are non-stop. Each strike is faster than the last. I don't block head-on. I tap lightly with a dead twig. Even the grass on the ground turns to weapons. The green vines along the edge of the stage tremble slightly. They help me track. The sword energy flows to leaves in the stone cracks. Those leaves are pressed down by the blade, but spring back up the next instant. I move with those tiny sounds. Lu Jinghong's sword brushes past my sleeve. A gust of cold wind comes with it. Someone below shouts and dodges. He can't even see it. How does he dodge so accurately? Lu Jinghong obviously heard those sounds too. He takes a deep breath. His sword force suddenly gets heavier. Lin Yuan, all you do is dodge. If your sword only hits air, why should I try to block? But Lu Jinghong's the top of King Xuan. He won't lose control easily. He quickly regains focus. He shakes the Jinghong sword in his hand. The sword light splits apart. 7 sword shadows attack at once. I hear 7 streams of sword wind. 6 are gentle. 1 is heavy. The real sword is 3 inches ahead to the left. I lift the twig to meet it. The twig and Jinghong's sword touch. A subtle sound rings out. Normally a regular twig, just a dead stick, couldn't possibly stop a magical sword. But it's wrapped in my Wuxiang sword intent. Qingmu sword intent blooms. I'm not competing for hardness. I guide the blade gently instead. Lu Jinghong's sword tilts half an inch. Half an inch is enough. Lu Jinghong misses again. I take advantage and step forward. The twig targets his wrist. He reacts super fast. Instantly pulls his sword back to defend. But right then, I sense the foreign sword seed in his blade. It suddenly jumps, like it was startled awake by me. Target sword seed is now active. Deep sword extraction is possible. Reminder, the sword seed is bound to target's sword heart. Forceful extraction will cause backlash. I don't act yet. It's not the right time. If Lu Jinghong guards with full strength, I might not succeed. I need him to unleash the sword seed completely. Wait for it to surface itself. So I keep defending. To others, I'm getting pushed back by Lu Jinghong. Sword light fills the stage. I barely avoid getting cut several times. Voices rise in the crowd. Looks like he only broke the array earlier. Lu Jinghong's serious now. Lin Yuan's still way behind. The Kingly starts breathing nervously. My master stays quiet. I know he sees I'm still waiting. Lu Jinghong thinks I'm at my limit.
His attacks get stronger.
The foreign sword seed's aura finally fully appears. The Jinghong sword's clear ring is covered by a colder sword hum. Lu Jinghong says softly, "It's over." He swings his blade. This time, the sword light doesn't split. No change in form. It's just fast, too fast. The stage feels like only a single blade remains. But with such a pure strike, it's easier to expose its core. I don't back off. Let go of the twig. Let him strike. Everyone gasps. Even Lu Jinghong is stunned. He probably thinks I've given up. But next second, I raise my hand and reach for his blade. Of course, I'm not trying to block the real sword with my hand. I'm grabbing what's behind the blade. That sword seed pushed to its limit by foreign power. My Wuxiang sword intent flows along the Jinghong sword, like an invisible hand reaching deep into his sword intent. Lu Jinghong's face instantly changes. "You dare," I answer silently. System, extract sword. In that moment, all sword sounds on stage stretch out. I hear Lu Jinghong's shock and anger. Hear the crowd's surprise. Also hear the sharp tremor as the foreign sword seed is forcibly extracted. It doesn't want to leave, but it never belonged to Lu Jinghong. He used it to act tough. It used him to spy on me. There's no real trust, only mutual gain. No real trust. Just using each other. I catch on to this. Pull it out directly. A cold sword light forms in my palm. Deep extraction successful. Sacred land remnant sword seed acquired. Triple hundredfold critical triggered. Refund given to host. Earned prototype of sky-slaying sword intent. The instant sky-slaying sword intent enters me. The twig in my hand bounces back. Returns to my palm. Lu Jinghong's sword force suddenly vanishes. He staggers backwards. Jinghong's sword trembles unsteadily. I don't let him recover. Sweep with the twig. The strike doesn't hurt him. Only hits the weakest point of his sword intent. Ding! Jinghong's sword flies out of his hand. Lands at the edge of the stage. The sword keeps shaking. Lu Jinghong stands there, face pale. His eyes full of disbelief. Your sword. Doesn't recognize you anymore. Senior brother Lu lost. Sect master. As agreed. Bupian sword record should be mine now. Up on the platform, Shen Duxuan doesn't answer right away. I hear his fingertips tap the armrest. He stops for a moment. I know the way he looks at me is no longer as just a troublesome disciple. Now it's as if he's eyeing a valuable weapon worth possessing. After the battle on the sword stage, the Qingshuan main peak is unusually silent. When Lu Jinghong is helped down, he says nothing more. Jinghong's sword is retrieved by enforcement disciples. It never rings with its old, clear sound again. I don't chase after him. Don't bother humiliating him further. Winning is enough. What I really want has never been to embarrass Lu Jinghong. It's Bupian sword record. Shen Duxuan stays silent for a while. Finally speaks up. Since Lin Yuan won, the sect keeps its word. But I can feel he's judging me. That look isn't like a senior to a disciple, or a sect leader to a young member. It's more like weighing a sharp, yet uncontrolled, sword aura. The sword pool elder clearly disagrees. He whispers, "Sect master, Bupian sword record is a treasured sword pool relic. Zhao Hanyi dug up the Linglong sword heart without permission. Sect Master. Bupian sword record is a sword pool treasure. Zhao Hanyi was wrong to extract the Linglong sword heart by himself. Now it's seen again. Is the rule still set? Can't be cleared? A jade bottle is handed to me. It's small, feels warm to the touch. Only a few drops of liquid inside, but it gives off an extremely pure sword aura. Detected, restoration type sword artifact. Bupian sword record can stabilize the Linglong sword heart. Thank you, Sect Master, for keeping your promise. Lin Yuan, meet me at Bamboo Peak later. I'll return to Hanyi Peak first. To steady Master's sword heart. Shen Daoxuan doesn't stop us. The kingly supports Master as we leave. Along the way, countless disciples' eyes are on me. Unlike before, this time they're not laughing. There's shock, confusion, and some unease. After this battle on the stage, everyone knows. The Blind Waste nickname for Hanyi Peak doesn't stick anymore. Back at Hanyi Peak, I take out the Bupian sword record right away. Lin Yuan, you shouldn't have risked blocking that strike. I taught you to grow up. How could I not notice these changes in your sword intent? I'm warmed inside when everyone just wants to know what luck I've gotten. Master's first question is if I risked anything. I guide the Bupian sword record around the Linglong sword heart. Xinlu's sword intent stays gentle, holds the sword veins steady. Wuxiang's sword intent avoids the weak points. Bupian sword record works like a play. Like a gentle rain, it slowly seeped into Master's forehead. The tight frown finally eased. After a long while, he let out a soft breath. The crack in Linglong's sword heart was temporarily suppressed. Only then did I relax. But the system prompt quickly sounded. Linglong's sword heart detected as basically stable and intact. Insufficient repair conditions. A masterless sword soul is needed. Only then can the sword path foundation be restored. Masterless sword soul. Within the Qinshuan ancient sword tomb, many broken swords and fragments were left behind by seniors. A rare few may give birth to a masterless sword soul. If I can find a wisp of Linglong sword heart, it can truly return to its place inside the ancient sword tomb. Is it dangerous? Ancient swords don't care about human feelings. They only recognize one's sword heart. If you force your way in, you might be rejected by thousands of swords. That's just fine. Swords never like me much anyway. After settling him down, I went to the main peak. Shen Daoxuan was waiting alone in the main hall. The great hall was empty. My footsteps echoed with every step. As soon as I entered, I heard a few hidden sword formations in the hall vibrate softly. I saw a few hidden sword formations inside tremble. He was defending, and I was testing him at the sword platform today. The sword intent you used didn't come from Zhao Hanyi. I just had some insight. Had a bit of insight. So I broke the wooden sword and defeated Lu Jinghong. If the headmaster doesn't believe me, I really can't explain it. You don't need to be nervous. The sect is glad to see disciples improve. But your foundation is special now. Without guidance, it's easy to go astray. The ancient sword tomb will open in 3 days. I can let you enter. What's the condition? If you gain anything from the ancient sword tomb, it must first be checked by the sect. Qinshuan's sect has trained you for years, so you should get back to the sect. I didn't argue right then. I just asked if I could take a lesser masterless sword soul, and if the sword soul can be used to repair Master's sword heart. If it's allowed, of course you can. When leaving the main peak, the system suddenly prompted me. Detected abnormal sword intent in Sect Master Shen Daoxuan's body. This sword intent, and Lu Jinghong's, originate from a similar foreign sword seed. The danger level is high. I didn't stop walking. Turns out Lu Jinghong was just a front. The one truly targeting Han Yifeng is someone higher up in Qinshuan sect. And the ancient sword tomb is just their next test for me. 3 days later, the ancient sword tomb opens. Qingshuan ancient sword tomb is behind the main peak. The entrance is a heavy stone gate. Before the stone gate even opened, the air was already thick with spiritual energy. Ordinary disciples would feel short of breath standing too close. When I arrived, many disciples were waiting. Most were elite disciples, sent in by order to enter the sword tomb, seeking a broken sword inheritance fit for themselves. Lu Jingheng didn't show up. Heard he was still in seclusion. Only a true sword cultivator's energy is recognized in the tomb. If you can't move at all inside, it's better to leave early, or you risk your life. The kingly was also with us. He originally wasn't qualified to enter the tomb, but Master used Han Yifeng's last available spot for him and got it for him. He stood next to me and whispered, "Lin, senior brother, be careful of Elder Zhou, he's ruthless." I nodded lightly. Once the stone gate opened, a deep sword hum came from within. It wasn't just one sword, but thousands of broken swords awakening at once. The disciples entered in order. Some had just walked a few steps, and a broken sword's intent chose them. Overjoyed, they sat down to comprehend. Some were forced out by sword energy, and had to leave disappointed. When it was my turn, the mood shifted. Many wanted to see if I, after shining at the sword platform, could earn the ancient sword tomb's approval. Stepping through the gate, the whole tomb went quiet. There was no welcoming sword hum or probing sword intent. Every broken sword went silent at once. It felt really strange, like entering a noisy hall where everyone stops talking suddenly and turns to look at you. Elder Zhou sneered from behind. "Looks like the ancient sword tomb doesn't accept you." How could that be? Did the one who challenged really get some outside help? Even ancient swords won't respond to him. That's impossible, Lin's senior brother clearly. It's not that these swords don't accept me. They are afraid of the remnant sword in me. And also the aura inside my unborn sword embryo. A power that could draw the swords to them. I'm not like ordinary disciples. I'm more like someone who can hear their secrets. I kept walking deeper in. Past Lin Yuan, there were no condensed sword edges left. The deeper I went, the more dangerous it got. Are you sure you want to continue? I'm sure. If something happens, the sect may not save you in time. I'll take responsibility myself. The deeper in, the heavier the sword energy got. The kingly followed me at first, and could still handle it, but soon his steps slowed. Stay here. No, I promise Peak Master Zhao to watch you. If you keep following, the sword key will hurt you. He still wanted to insist, so I left a strand of greenwood sword intent in his palm. If you're in danger, just crush it. The swords will stop. The kingly went quiet a moment, then finally nodded. I went deeper alone. The farther into the tomb, the fewer broken swords there were, but each felt much older. Most were silent, sometimes giving soft sword cries, almost like a warning not to come closer. Suddenly, the ground beneath me trembled. Sword energy around me shifted. Someone activated a formation. Not the tomb's own array. Activated a formation. Not the tomb's own formation, but an external spirit summoning formation, like an invisible hand, pulling me in a certain direction. I didn't fight it, since the system prompt was already sounding. Detected advanced sword drawing target ahead. The sword pit deep in the tomb is risky. I followed the spirit summoning array ahead. After a moment, the ground opened up under my feet. I stood at the edge of a huge sword pit. Inside were many rusted, broken swords, all mixed together. If an ordinary disciple fell in, they'd never survive. Elder Zhou's aura stayed far behind. He must have thought I was tricked here, and would soon embarrass myself. Maybe have to call for help. But I stood by the pit, and heard a faint laugh from below. The Lin family bloodline finally arrived. I gripped my branch. Who's there? A rusty plain sword at the bottom trembled softly. The voice was old, but also kind of mischievous. Relax, kid. If I wanted to hurt you, you'd have died when you first entered the tomb. You know the Lin family? Know them? More than that. Back then, my master owed the Lin family a great. The Lin family did me a great favor. I didn't attack right away, because of Shujian's next words. They made me stop completely. The two swords sealed in your eyes. Do they still hurt? Shujian's words made all my sword energy tense up instantly. The secret of the sealed swords in my eyes, besides system messages, and that blurry memory with Han Yifeng's little brother, almost no one knows. Even my master only knows my eyes are wounded, but can't tell the cause. But as soon as this rusty sword spoke, it pointed it out directly. I held onto the dead branch. My voice dropped. Who are you really? My name is Aki. I used to follow a legendary sword cultivator, carrying, sharpening, and guarding his sword for him. Later, my master was gone. I was left with just this last bit of lingering will, trapped inside this ancient sword tomb. How do you know Ling Zhao? Because the Lin family once guarded the Wuxiang sword platform. That's not just any talent. It's the power to hold all swords, without being restrained by them. The sword path foundation of all sword restraint. Many want it, but few understand what it really means. What's its true meaning? Freedom. A Wuxiang master isn't trapped by any one form. A sword can be steel, or it can be wood or grass, or the wind, or even an unyielding thought in your mind. What the Lin family guarded wasn't power, but to keep swordsmanship from being used to enslave others. I remembered when my master dug out my Linglong sword heart. The system gave me the first choice. That path was strong enough, but at the cost of my master's life. I refused it. Maybe from that moment, I was already on the Wuxiang path. 20 years ago, someone wanted to forge the universal sword embryo and targeted the Lin family. They took the Lin family's sword bone and sealed a baby's eyes, trying to make him in endless darkness grow into the perfect vessel for all those swords. My breath caught for a second. Although I had guessed, hearing it for real still felt like a heavy stone crushing my heart. I asked, who was it? Shujian fell silent for a moment. Gu Wuya, sword lord of 10,000 swords. The moment his name was spoken, all the broken blades around started to vibrate gently, like they were afraid, but also unwilling. I didn't speak immediately. The sword lord is the top of Eastern Wasteland swordsmanship, while Qingshuan's sect is nothing before him, just another vassal sect. If Gu Wuya really was behind it all, then my past, my master's forbearance, the master's odd behavior, all connect. Lu Jinghong's foreign sword seed, Shen Duxuan's odd sword intent, Han Yifeng's brother's Lin family remnant sword, all point in the same direction. Why did Zhao Hanyi save me back then? I don't know the whole story, but I know Qingshuan's sect owed a debt to the Lin family. The ancient sword tomb once had an old promise to protect Lin's descendants too. But over time, people changed, and those promises got deliberately forgotten. Now, the Qingshuan master bears the sword slave mark of the sword sanctuary. What's a sword slave mark? It's not the ghost sword dragon mark. Not a curse from spirits. Nothing that mystical. It's a control mark for sword cultivators. Once implanted, the bearer gains some approval from the sanctuary, but is unconsciously tied to obey their will. Some are forced to accept it. Some trade for it willingly. I get it now. Shen Duxuan is probably the latter. He wanted the sanctuary's power to strengthen Qingshuan, and to use my unique gifts to get more benefits.
To him,
Han Yifeng, my master, and me are just chess pieces on his board. I grip the dead branch tighter. Don't rush to hate. Hate is the easiest sword to be used by others. If Gu Wuya is watching you, the angrier you get, the happier he is. I froze. Those words were like a cold shower, snapping me out of my boiling emotions. I can't be led by hate. I came to the ancient sword tomb to find a masterless sword soul for my master, not to get lost in the past here. You said you're trapped inside this rusty sword right now? That's right. If I draw the sword, what will you do? Finally, a real question. I won't last long as just a remnant will. Instead of fading quietly, slowly inside Shujian, I'd rather help you out. You need a masterless sword soul to mend your master's Linglong sword heart. And that's exactly what I have left. And you? I'll exist in a new way. If you draw it steadily, maybe I can stay awake with your sword intent for a while. If you can't, then let this old sword help the Lin family one last time. I didn't promise right away. This isn't about pulling Lu Jingheng's sword, or some formation. A key is asking me to trust him. I don't want to treat this as just another system reward. Kid, don't feel pressured. If a sword only wants to be sharp for itself, it'll break sooner or later. You're not wasting your life if you can protect the ones you care about. That's what matters. I was silent a long time. Finally, I raised the dead branch. Senior Key. If I offend you, please forgive me. Stop with the pleasantries, draw. I closed my useless eyes. Wuxiang's sword intent slowly flowed into my sleeve. This time, I didn't snatch. I didn't grab power. Instead, it felt like accepting a sword handed to me. The rusty sword quivered slightly. A strand of gentle but unyielding sword soul rose slowly from the rust inside and landed in my palm. The system alert sounded. Sword drawn successfully. You obtained the Guardian Sword Soul. 500x critical return triggered. Congrats! You now have Myriad Swords command. Incomplete version. The next moment, every silent broken sword in the Five Swords tomb started to buzz low. They didn't fear me anymore, but seemed to be checking how I would use this power. A key's voice echoed in my mind, way clearer than before. It's done. Time to go. Kid, let's save your master. I held that sword soul tight, turned, and walked out of the ancient tomb. Elder Joe's footsteps in the distance sounded nervous. He probably didn't expect. Not only did I not get trapped in the sword pit, one actually brought something out with me. I smiled lightly. King Xuan's sect wanted to test me with the old tomb. But they don't know. This time, I'm not just bringing back a sword. I'm bringing back someone who knows the truth. When I took the Guardian Sword Soul back to Hanyi Peak, my master was still recovering. He was much more stable than before. But his Linglong sword heart was still missing the final piece. Without it, every time he wields a sword, the old wound will ache again. I couldn't dare waste any time. The kingly waited outside the door, blocking all the disciples who wanted to ask questions. I took my seat. I traveled everywhere, using the sword intent of the green wood to protect my master's heart. Then I slowly guided the Guardian Sword Soul into the Linglong sword heart. The moment the sword soul entered the body, my master's brow furrowed slightly. I immediately stopped, then kept going. He suddenly spoke up. His voice was very soft, but steady. I was startled. Master, you're awake. He just whispered, "Don't worry. Don't be afraid." That sentence made my chest tighten. Even though he's the one who's hurt, the first thing he does when he wakes up is still to comfort me. I steadied myself, slowly merging the Guardian Sword Soul into the Linglong sword heart. After a long while, a clear sword name rang from the room. It wasn't a sharp, murderous sound, but like sunshine after snow. The Linglong sword heart is back in place. Master slowly opened his eyes, his face still pale, but his gaze had the same cool clarity as before. Did you get hurt on the mixed sword platform? I shook my head. No. But he raised his hand and gently pressed my shoulder, right where Lu Jingheng had brushed against me. Even though it wasn't a serious wound, I couldn't hide it from him. Don't push yourself next time. But if I'm not strong enough, I can't protect you, Master. Lin Yuan, there are some things I wanted to tell you when you were stronger. I wanted to wait until you got stronger to say. 20 years ago, I left on a sect mission. On my way, I stumbled into an ambush. Back then, you were still just a baby. Your eyes sealed by a sword mark. Your breath so weak. I had no idea where you came from, but I knew if I left you, You wouldn't survive. Later, I found out you were connected to the Lin family. And after that, I discovered someone within the sect was looking into you. So I sealed Han Yifeng. And just told outsiders you were a sickly disciple I picked up. Master, you knew about the Myriad Sword Sanctuary all along? Just a little. Not the whole picture. The Myriad Sword Sanctuary is above Kinswan's sect. No one dares to mention it lightly. All I could do was make sure you survived. It was quiet in the room. Then I finally understood why he never let me leave the mountain. Why he always said I could take my time learning the sword. Because I had to stay alive first. It wasn't to hold me back. He did everything he could to shield me, to be the barrier for me, against the storms I couldn't see. Zhao, the peak master and the sect leader, sent word the Donghuang sword tournament is coming. Lin Shixeng is to represent King Xuan. My master's gaze turned cold, but I felt calm.
He wants to throw me before the Myriad Sword Sanctuary.
Master looked at me. You don't have to go. Number. At the sword tournament, there will be the Breaking Wilderness Sword Fist, right? I want to know what's really sealed in my eyes. I'll go with you. I smiled. This time, I'm no longer the child he used to hide away behind cold clothes. I want to stand by his side and face the truth. Meanwhile, deep within the sword pool of King Xuan's main peak, Lu Jinghong knelt in front of a black sword stele. His face was pale. Shen Duxuan stood behind him, his voice gentle. Jinghong, are you really okay with this? Lin Yuan didn't just take your life. He stole your sword heart. If you want to stand up again, you'll need a higher level sword. In the black sword stele, a grayish sword light slowly appeared. Ji Chanzhou's voice came from behind the stele.
Accept the sanctuary's offer.
And you can rebuild your foundation. What's the price? Obedience? The moment the gray-white sword mark pierced his forehead, the Jinghong sword let out a faint, sorrowful cry. But Lu Jinghong couldn't hear it anymore. The day before leaving, Lu Jinghong came back.
He stood in the main peak's plaza.
Dressed in white as always, still wearing the Jinghong sword at his waist. Just from the disciples' excited voices, outsiders might think he'd fully recovered. But I could tell. His sword's name had changed. The old Jinghong sword was proud, but still had its own bright ring. Now the sound was trapped by cold iron chains. Every vibration felt off. Kid. He's been marked with the sword slave seal. Just like the sect leader, same source. But it's more shallow and more urgent for him. He probably traded beast techniques and his foundation for short-term strength. I frowned as Lu Jinghong walked up to me. His voice was much rougher than before. Lin Yuan, our sword duel on the platform isn't done yet. You already lost? That's because you used dirty tricks. The nearby disciples looked conflicted. Some still respected his former status, while others saw him lose with their own eyes, and didn't dare to side with him so easily. Lu Jinghong reached for his sword hilt. I challenge you again today. Someone who already lost once doesn't deserve to make me draw my sword a second time. The plaza instantly went silent. Lu Jinghong's face darkened. The slave mark was triggered by his anger, and the Jinghong sword let out a sharp screech. He took a step forward, really intending to fight. But before he could draw his sword, a cold, clear sword intent came down in front of him. My master had arrived. He showed no sign of weakness from his recent wounds. Lu Jinghong, this main plaza of the sect, is not a place for your personal duels. Uncle Master Zhao wants to cover for him too? Master replied calmly. I am upholding the rules. That made many disciples lower their heads, because everyone knew King Xuan's biggest rule breakers lately were exactly those claiming to represent the sect. Lu Jingheng forced himself to suppress his sword energy, then turned to the grand stage. There, the sect master Shen Dogxuan had appeared at some point. Honey, you recovered faster than I thought. Sorry to disappoint you, master. It's good to see you back. The Eastern Emperor Sword Tournament is soon. King Xuan needs you to go and hold the fort. I heard the sword mark in his sleeve quiver softly. That sound resonated with the sword slave mark in Lu Jingheng's body. Now, I was sure. The connection between the sect master and the sanctuary ran deeper than I thought. Lu Jingheng stepped aside. Right before leaving, he said coldly, Lin Yuan, at the sword tournament, you'll understand. The real world lies beyond King Xuan. I didn't reply, because the system notification had already popped up. Detected. Sword slave mark in Lu Jingheng's body is unstable. The sword slave seal is unstable. There's a connection with the Saint Land of 10,000 swords. Remote guidance suggests I head toward the Eastern Sword Conference. There might be people from Gu Wuya there. There's more going on underneath. And the sword fist of despair I want is there. This journey won't be easy. But I no longer just hide behind Han Yifeng. The conference is held in Sky Sword City. By the time we arrived, sword cultivators from all sects had gathered. The sword aura on the streets was intense. Young disciples were coming and going everywhere. Everyone radiated sharpness. When King Xuan's sect entered the venue, it didn't draw much attention. Until someone noticed the withered branch in my hand. That's the disciple sent by King Xuan's sect. Heard he's blind. Does King Xuan have no one left? I didn't care. I've heard too much of this kind of talk along the way. If I took it all to heart, I'd have lost my edge long ago. What really got my attention was a young man on the high platform. He was sitting at the Saint Land's seat. Calm energy. His sword intent was pure. Unlike the coldness that Lu Jingheng borrowed, his sword is like a clear, unfathomable river. That's the Saint Land. Sword heir Jiu Lingshao. You're Zhao Hanyi. Been hiding for 20 years. The place instantly went quiet. My master's gaze turned cold. The Qingquan elders all reacted differently. Some were shocked. Some averted their eyes. Obviously, they're not totally clueless about what happened. I looked up at Jiu Lingshao. Seems like you don't know much. You know a lot then. If you want answers, make it to the finals. High-level sword target detected. Binding to Jiu Lingshao is possible but risky now. The first round started quickly. My opponent was from an affiliated sect. Expert in fast swords. He circled me halfway on stage. Smiling, Brother Lin, if you can't see, how about conceding early? So you won't get hurt. Thanks for the tip. He thought I was scared, but his sword energy flared up. His steps were quick. He tried to attack from the side and back. But he was too eager to prove himself. Fast swords fail if you get reckless. Too restless. I heard his breath hitch just before he struck, and his sword tip was off by half an inch. I raised the withered branch, tapping lightly. First touch was at his shoulder and neck. Second, at the wrist for force. Third, at his landing foot. He totally lost his balance. Staggered a few steps. He ended up retreating himself to the edge. I didn't chase him. He steadied himself, face flushed. Rushed at me again. This time, I just stepped aside from his shoulder. The branch pressed in front of his chest. Half an inch further. He'd crash into it himself. He froze. This match. King Xuan's Lin Yuan wins. One withdrew my branch and stepped off the stage. From afar, Jiu Lingshao clapped softly, not because he saw, but because he heard. Or maybe it really was because he sensed it. Would you walk that path? I paused. Jiu Lingshao is way trickier than Lu Jingheng. Before the second round, an elder from my sect found me. He skipped the small talk. Lin Yuan, don't win the next round too cleanly. You know why? Your opponent's from a Saint Land-affiliated sect. If you make them look bad, it could hurt relations between the sects. I got it. King Xuan sent me to compete, to make a name for us. But if I outshine Saint Land, they want me to tone it down. What if they want me to lose? Think bigger. Understood, Elder. That's messed up. You can't just win. Can't lose either. You have to bear everything. So, what's your plan? What are you going to do? Heard you're an orphan Zhao Hanyi saved. King Xuan raised you for 20 years. But you always go against the sect. Ridiculous. Great upbringing, huh? Are you done now? Back then, Zhao Hanyi disobeyed our sect. And now lets you act out at the sword conference. People like Han Yufeng are unfit to represent King Xuan. I could hear my master's breath stop for a second, but my own heart stayed calm. Some people just talk to provoke you, wanting you to lose control, trying to get in my head. I won't let him. I raised the withered branch. I'll give you a chance. Finish what you have to say, so everyone can hear it clearly. You're not here to ask for a duel. Just forcing your rumors on me. If a Saint Land affiliate can only win by insulting someone's master, that's disappointing. The crowd went dead silent. Su Zhao was furious. He charged at me with his sword. His sword wasn't weak. The strikes had power. He fought head-on. Relentless force. He fought with pure pressure. For most disciples, his opening would overwhelm them, forcing them back step by step. But his heart was restless. A messy heart means a messy sword. I didn't use my heaven-shattering sword intent. Didn't even draw his sword. Everything on stage was a weapon. I used subtle wind at the ring's edge, tripping him up at every step. By the third exchange, his moves were open. I closed in, touched his sword tip with my branch. Used formless sword intent, sending a soft pulse down his blade. His sword went flying, landing at the edge. I backed off, not pushing further. Ding Xuan's Ling Yuan wins. You're just a backup disciple. What are you so proud of? I turned to the crowd and toward Qin Xuan's seat. Today I don't speak for Qin Xuan's main peak, or for the so-called big picture, where wins and losses depend on politics. Word by word, I said, I represent Han Yufeng. My master looked quietly at me from afar. I couldn't see his face, but I heard the faint ring of his sword. That was approval. From the Saint Land seat, an elder scoffed, but Jiyu Lingxiao laughed. Then I heard someone whisper on the Saint Land side. Next round. Let Jiyu Lingxiao try him. System message. System notification rings out. High-level target Jiyu Lingxiao about to join. I grip my branch tighter. The real soul starts from the next round. When the third bracket was announced, the crowd hushed for a moment. King Xuan's Lin Yuan versus Saint Land's Jiyu Lingxiao. It's not the finals, but attracts more attention than any final. He's the sword heir of Saint Land, famous in East Wild since youth. They say he mastered the sword at 13, never lost in the sword pool at 16. Now just over 20, already dueling elders from big sects. As for me, to most people, I'm just a blind disciple who popped up at Qingquan. Right before the match, Qingquan's elder stopped Lin Yuan. Jiyu's status is high. Only push it far enough. What if you won't stop? I ignored him. My teacher stood nearby, softly said, "Be careful." I nodded and stepped on stage. Jiyu Lingxiao didn't draw his sword immediately. His sword felt calm. Not like Lu Jinghong's obvious edge. Not Su Zhao's urge to overwhelm. Jiyu Lingxiao just stood there, like deep water, still on the surface, but with currents underneath. He asked, "Ming Yuan, what do you think a sword is?" I gripped the branch. You want an answer? Or just testing me with your question? Jiyu Lingxiao smiled. A bit of both, I guess, I replied. The sword is a choice. Why not strength? Strength is only a result of the sword, not the sword itself. So what do you choose? To protect those I care about and the beliefs I stand for. Jiyu Lingxiao was silent for a moment. Then, the moment he drew his sword, the wind in the arena suddenly grew faint. It's not gone, but all the wind seemed guided by his sword intent, flowing in the same direction. Be careful. His sword is steady. He truly found it himself. When the first strike fell, I didn't hear the wind rushing. because his sword was so smooth. It almost felt like it belonged there. I used all nature to try and sense the way. But at the edge of the ring, every living plant was fully suppressed by his sword intent. It wasn't force, but his sword's persuasion that made everything around believe that where he struck was the right path. I stepped back half a pace, a dead branch blocking his strike. Sword and branch clashed. No loud crash, just a faint ring. My arm was the horse. You're good at using everything around you. You're good at making everything listen. Isn't being obedient a good thing? If they want to, then it's fine. But if they're forced to believe, then it's not. A serious look finally appeared in Gu Lingshao's eyes. His second strike was faster than the first. I stopped defending completely, released my own sword intent. I didn't force his momentum, just nudged it where his force was weakest. A light tap, swift as a call. Gu Lingshao's sword veered half an inch. Someone gasped below the stage, but Gu Lingshao just laughed. So that's it. You're not breaking the sword. You're letting the sword choose again. I didn't answer, because the system alert sounded. Target detected. Bu Lingshao's sword intent is clear. Binding possible. Forced draw not recommended. I felt a bit surprised. Even the system says not to force the sword. So maybe I can surrender. I frowned. Why? Gu Lingshao didn't reply right away. He looked to the back of the sacred sword stand, where a few elders' presence wavered as he spoke. Their auras clearly shook for a moment, because since you showed up, some people here have reacted way too strongly. They're afraid you'll meet Po Wangjian, afraid you'll reach the finals, even afraid you'll leave Sword City alive. Leave Sword City. I want to know what they're so scared of. That's why I want to see you go to the end. I don't need you to let me win. Then take my last strike. The sword flashed. I raised my dead branch. The prototype of the heaven-cleaving sword showed itself for the first time. The swords crossed. The wind in the arena instantly stilled. A moment later, Gu Lingshao stepped back. I also stepped back. He sheathed his sword and called it a draw. The judge hesitated, then finally announced Lin Yuan as the winner. Before Gu Lingshao left the stage, he said quietly, before the final match, "Watch out for your King Xuan people." I gripped the dead branch tightly. Looks like the sacred land isn't the only one trying to stop me. I made it to the top 4. People's attitude towards me completely changed. The mocking was gone. Now they were measuring looks and guesses, and a hint of dread. Anyone who could force the Sword Saint's disciple to retreat, no matter where they're from, can never be called a joke again. Yet there was little joy in King Xuan's sect. That night, Shen Daxuan arrived. He didn't bring followers. He stood alone by the guest yard. Master blocked a door, sounding cold. "Why visit so late, sect leader? Anything you need?" Shen Daxuan said no. "I want to talk to Ling Yuan. He needs to rest." I walked out. "Master, it's fine." Shen Daxuan looked at me. Then after a moment said, "The semifinals are tomorrow. You should give up." The kingly's face changed. "Why?" "Lin Yuan, you've already proven yourself. Going further won't help you or Han Yufeng, or even King Xuan's sect. Is it bad for the sect? Or bad for you, sect leader? You're still young. You don't get what the sacred land means yet. All I know is win the sword meet. And you can join the Broken Net Sword Group. The Broken Net Sword Group isn't for you. Because he can see the seal in my eyes. Sect leader. You've known who I am for a while. And what if I do? Back then, if it wasn't for King Xuan's sect. Taking you in, you'd be dead now. My master took me in. He is part of King Xuan too. Part of the sect. It's not the same. Lin Yuan? Don't put personal feelings above the sect. If you insist on winning, the sacred land will notice. Then not even Han Yufeng can protect you. And neither can our sect. Then I'll protect myself. This is Sword City. Every Eastern sect is here. They can't hurt a contestant in public. As he was leaving, he left one last sentence. If you go up tomorrow, you won't be a disciple of King Xuan anymore. I smiled. From the moment I spoke for Han Yifeng. Hasn't the sect leader thought so all along? Shen Daoxuan paused, but didn't turn back. Night fell silent again. The Kingley's eyes turned red with anger, but she held it in. Master looked at me and softly asked, "Are you scared?" "Yeah. But being scared doesn't mean I'll back down." "Then I'll watch you from the audience tomorrow." Tonight I didn't practice the sword. I just sat there. Tonight I didn't practice. I just sat by the window, listening to the wind in Sword City, hearing the breath of countless sword fighters afar, and the sword in my heart, growing calm bit by bit. Tomorrow I fight not for King Xuan. I fight for the truth. In the semifinal, my opponent's name was Song Mingchuan. He's from the Tian sword sect. Very well known. He saluted me first after getting on stage. "Brother Lin, I've seen your earlier rounds. People give their hearts to who they want." "Thank you." "Please begin." Song Mingchuan struck first. His sword style surged like a long river, pouring forward in waves, calm and patient, but no room for me to breathe. I sensed my surroundings using all of nature, but the life at the edge of the arena was shaken by his sword's momentum. It wasn't suppression, it was a direct assault. I took 7 steps back, every step, used my own sword intent to break one layer of his attack. But Song Mingxuan's style is steady. It came together again at once, like a river reconnecting its flow. The crowd watched in silence, no one mocking, no one jeering, because everyone knew this is real swordplay. The duel continues. Now I knew this was a true sword duel. At step 8, if I stopped and backed off, I'd fall into his rhythm. I raised my withered branch. For the first time, I took the initiative and met his blade. The tip of my branch touched the very front of his sword's force. His sword intent, vast as a river, paused slightly. A spark lit up in Song Mingchuan's eyes. Nice. Not only did I not retreat, I fought back even harder. I smiled too. A rival like this deserves my best. The embryonic form of the heaven-cutting sword intent appeared on my branch, but I didn't unleash its full force. I made it razor thin, just to break through the key flows of his sword. 1, 2, 3 strikes. I split his river-like sword intent into many streams. My grass and trees in battle followed these channels. To find gaps in his sword, I stepped forward. My branch stopped 3 inches from his brow. His sword also paused 3 inches from my shoulder. If this were a fight to the death, maybe we both lose. But there are rules to sword duels. I touched first. Song Mingchuan withdrew his sword. He said calmly, "I lost." The arena went silent for a moment, then erupted in applause. They weren't clapping for the winner, but for such a clean duel. One withdrew my branch, bowed to him in respect, and walked off the stage. Jiu Lingshao stood to the side. "Congratulations. You're just 1 step away from the ultimate sword art. Who's your final opponent?" According to the original list, it should be another disciple of the Holy Empire. But they just made a substitution. Guess who? Lu Jinghong. My steps halted. Didn't Lu Jinghong already lose at King Xuan's sword stage? How is he representing the Holy Land in the finals? The Holy Land just accepted him as an outer swordsman, so he qualifies as a substitute. His sword slave mark got deeper. Looks like they're trying to use him to stop you. Lu Jinghong stood in the shadows nearby. His Jinghong sword wasn't famous. Like a blade with its own wool completely sealed. I didn't feel anger, just regret. King Xuan's former top disciple could have walked his own path, but he kept choosing borrowed power till he sacrificed himself too. The final will start after 1 incense stick burns. The judging sword is right there, at the highest point of the arena. The moonlight seemed to cleanse away all dust. I gripped my withered branch tighter. This last battle is not just to win the title, but to show everyone borrowed chains, can never lock up a true sword. At the start of the finals, a light rain fell over Sword City. The rain was soft, hitting the edge of the stage. With a crisp sound, Lu Jinghong stood opposite me, quiet to an eerie degree. He no longer had his former pride, nor any restlessness. From earlier duel stages, he was like a sword gripped by someone else. Just waiting for the command? Lu Jinghong, do you still want to beat me? Following the Empire's order, I bow to you. It's not my wish. I'm following the Empire's order. I sighed. The judge announced the start. Lu Jinghong struck instantly. This strike was way stronger than at the Clear Springs. Speed, power, sword intent all maxed out. But the stronger he got, the more I could hear it. His own sword's voice was nearly gone. Jinghong's sword was crying, not out of sadness, but struggling. I didn't step back. Grass and trees in battle unfolded. Rain, wind, even blades of grass in the arena cracks, all became part of my senses. Lu Jinghong's sword pressed closer and closer, and I kept slashing through with my branch. No sound came from the crowd. Everyone saw this wasn't a normal match anymore. The sword slave mark on Lu Jinghong was shining brighter. In the Holy Land seats far off. Waste! Use the holy mark already. Watch out, they'll force the mark. I heard a tiny cracking sound from Lu Jinghong's chest. A tiny shatter. The evil mark was starting to backfire madly. I couldn't wait any longer. If they kept forcing the mark like this, his whole foundation as a swordsman would. If they keep forcing the mark, his entire sword path will be destroyed. This fight has to end now. I can't stand by and watch him be broken as a tool. I don't like Lu Jinghong, and I won't forgive the things he did. But I can't let a swordsman be used and broken for good. I raised my branch, unleashed the embryo of heaven-cutting sword. Not to cut a man, but to cut the mark. My branch pierced through his sword's glow and touched an inch above his forehead. Forceless sword intent probed within. A system alert sounded. Sword slave mark detected. High risk if removed. I spoke in my heart. Remove the sword slave mark. Violent resistance. In the Holy Land seats, an elder shot up. Stop. You can't interfere on the dueling stage. On the stage, Lu Jinghong's face went pale, but his eyes gained some clarity. He looked at me and asked very softly, "Why?" I didn't answer. A sweep of my branch. I forcibly pulled out the sword slave mark, which turned into a cold light and shattered in my palm. Mark removed successfully. Obtained fragment of the Holy Land's sword slave mark. Critical bonus triggered. Obtained gaze-breaking sword child form. Lu Jinghong lost all support, dropped to one knee, and his Jinghong sword clattered onto the stage, letting out a tired but free sound. This Eastern Waste sword meets winner. The Primal Sword meets champion, Lin Yuan. I ignored them and walked to the judging sword art. The spring water was cool. When it fell into my hands, countless tiny sword intents seemed to cleanse my eyes. The pain hit, but it wasn't unbearable. Like a long-closed door finally cracking open. I felt two seals on my eyes loosen at once. Deep in my left eye, a ray like the morning sun appeared. Deep in my right eye, a shadow quiet as the night. They'd been sealed for 20 years. Now, just moving a little, almost knocked me off my feet with pain. In the next moment, I saw an incomplete world. Just a single light, blurred and faint, but real. I saw my master standing below the stage. He was in snow-white robes, his eyes full of tears, but smiling. I saw the kingly waving hard, saw Jiu Lingxiao standing with his sword, his face complicated, and the people from the sacred land afar, watching me coldly. I looked up at the dim sky. So this is what light is. A key whispered in my mind. Kid, this is just the start. I gripped the branch tight again. Yeah, the seal's just barely opened. The crow is still deep in the Holy Land, and the Lin family matters are far from over. But today I won the first step. The blind disciple from Han Yifeng. This blind disciple finally saw his first ray of light. When the judging sword faded, Sword City was still in an uproar. I stood atop the high stage. My vision was still blurry. The world wasn't clear yet. But it was no longer just darkness. This should be the end of the sword meet. But the sacred land elders wouldn't let it end. A gray-robed elder stepped into the air and said coldly, "Lin Yuan, you used forbidden arts on the stage and took Lu Jingheng's sword mark by force. You must come with me to the sacred land to investigate." Everyone saw the duel. He won fair and square. Zhao Hanyi, you're just a Qingshuan peak master. You can't question the Holy Land. In the Qingshuan sect seats, Shen Duxuan stayed silent. The Kinglin shouted, "Master, Brother Lin won for Qingshuan. Aren't you going to say anything?" Shen Duxuan finally spoke. "But not in my defense. Lin Yuan, if the sacred land just wants to question you, go with them. That way you prove your innocence too." I smiled. I'd expected him to say this, but hearing it for real still made me feel cold inside. So the master is telling me to hand my life to the sacred land. Forget it. Acting on impulse. If I leave, can I come back? It's not up to you. He raises his hand and sword intent forms in the air. Chains drop down toward me. The sword lock hasn't reached me yet. Jiu Lingshao suddenly draws his sword. A flash of sword light sweeps across, blocking the chains. The whole arena shakes. "Jiu Lingshao, you dare stop me?" Sword tournament rules. The champion is witnessed by all Eastern Wilderness sects. If an elder tries to seize the champion in public, the sacred land will lose trust everywhere. Do you know what you're saying? I do. I also know.
Inside Lu Jingheng's body.
The sword slave seal shouldn't appear on the tournament stage. As soon as that was said, many elders' faces changed. The 3 words, sword slave seal, are too sensitive. If the Holy Emperor secretly uses sword seals to control competitors, what happened today? Isn't just Lin Yuan controlling competitors? What happened today? Isn't Lin Yuan's issue alone? It's about the credibility of the whole Eastern Wilderness tournament. The elder in the gray robe sparks with killing intent. Right then, a gentle but powerful voice comes from above Sky Sword City. The champion has been decided. Let's follow the rules. Everyone looks up. An elder in a green robe steps down from the clouds. The Lord of Sky Sword City, Lord Wenzu. Lin Yuan, are you willing to stay in Sky Sword City for 3 days? No sect may force you to leave in those 3 days. I'm willing. After 3 days, let's see who can protect you then. He leaves with a flick of his robe. Shen Duxuan also turns and leaves. I stare at his blurry silhouette. Suddenly I feel calm. From this moment, Qingshuan sect is no longer my retreat. My master walks up beside me. And Han Yifeng. It's the sword seal, just loosened. Hasn't really been drawn. It's like the illusion-breaking sword's prototype. Lets you see light and shadow for a moment. Lets you see light and shadow for a moment. But if you force your eyes, it'll still backlash. Footsteps come from outside the courtyard at night. "Senior Lin, Lu Jingheng is here." I walk to the door. Lu Jingheng stands in the rain. He's pale.
He holds Jingheng's sword in his arms.
Sees me come out. He's silent for a long time. Suddenly drops to one knee. The kingly jumps in surprise. "What are you doing?" "I owe you my life." I drew my sword and was enslaved. "Not for your thanks." I know, his voice is hoarse. "But if not for you, I know, if not for you, I'd be just another sword in the Holy Emperor's hand." Get up and talk. It was the sect leader who gave me the sword slave seal. So it really was him. After I lost to you, my sword heart was damaged. The sect leader said the Holy Emperor could rebuild my foundation. But only later did I learn. It wasn't rebuilding. It was surrender. I asked whose idea it was. The gray-robed elder's name is Gu Wuya. He said if I destroyed your sword heart at the tournament, he'd accept me into the sacred land. Master's gaze is cold. Destroy Lin Yuan's sword heart. Lu Jinghong bows his head. Whose idea was it? The elder in the gray robe is Gu Wuya.
He said, if I destroy your sword heart at the tournament,
He'd accept me into the sacred land. Destroy Lin Yuan's sword heart. Why is Gu Wuya in such a hurry? I only heard one thing. Something about Gu Wuya being about to finish seclusion. He needs one last key. The key probably means the sword sealed in your eyes. And the sect leader will remove Han Yifeng in 3 days. He already sent papers to the sacred land. Side Elder Zhao hides Lin clan remnants, betraying King Xuan. Master stays very calm.
he only asks where the papers are.
Lu Jinghong takes out a jade slip. It's a copy I stole. Master takes the jade slip, shows no change in expression, but his palm feels cold. What do you plan to do next? I'm not fit to return to King Xuan. Not fit for Han Yifeng either. I'll stay in Sky Sword City until the Holy Emperor comes for me. If you really want to pay your debt, stay alive. Live to be a witness. Prove the sword slave's justice. Prove Shen Doxuan. Prove the Holy Emperor interfered. Sword tournament is good. The wind and rain haven't stopped all night. I've finally confirmed. After 3 days, what waits for me isn't tea, but a net cast by the sacred land. Next morning, Luo Wenzu gathers the sect elders. Lu Jinghong publicly admits being enslaved by the sword slave seal, and hands over copies of the jade slips from Shen Doxuan and the sacred land. Sect leader. You said that day Lin was always part of the sacred land. Just hand him over. Just hand over King Xuan. You get 3 spirit mines, 10 slots for promotion. Are you denying you said this? Countless eyes on Shen Doxuan. He finally isn't so gentle or absurd. Master steps forward with the jade slip. What about this document? The jade slip opens. It's the secret message Shen Doxuan sent the Holy Emperor. Every word calls me a Lin clan remnant, calls Han Yifeng a hiding place. The King Xuan sect disciples are disturbed. Some can't believe it. Some bow their heads in silence. Some finally understand why Han Yifeng was pushed aside by the main peak for years. Little Han Yi, are you really going to ruin King Xuan for an outsider? It's not Lin Yuan who ruined King Xuan. Shen Doxuan, you've raised me in King Yuan's sect for 20 years. You've said that a lot. Isn't it true? King Xuan's sect's kindness. I won't deny it. But that kindness isn't yours. Han Yifeng gave me clothes and food. Master taught me self-cultivation. Sister Li and everyone else traveled with me. All that, I remember all of this. But starting today, I, Lin Yuan, and King Xuan have settled our past. We're even now. You dare betray the sect? It's not betrayal. It's a break. This broken sword will be the proof. If King Xuan still has the heart of a sword cultivator, I won't be his enemy. If anyone uses the sect's name to hurt my master again, or harms Han Yifeng, I'll draw my sword, break their blades into pieces. The whole place falls silent. Luo Wenzu looks at Shen Daosuan. Sect Master Shen, Sky Sword City will record this matter. For 3 days, you can't take Lin Yuan or Han Yifeng away. Shen Daosuan's face turns dark. Jiu Chenju isn't here. But I know, he's watching us from the shadows. The sanctuary won't back down just for some jade slips. They'll only get tougher. Back at the inner court, Master asks if I regret it. I shake my head. Before, I always thought being abandoned by King Xuan would hurt, but actually saying it out loud, I felt relieved instead. What about me? I'm with Han Yifeng too. If you stay, it's going to be dangerous, very dangerous. I'm scared of danger. but I'm more afraid of losing my conscience. On the second night, Bu Lingxiao came. He didn't come through the main gate, but landed over the wall into the yard. The kingly almost drew his sword. He motioned with his hand to stop him. Don't shout. I'm not here to fight. A sanctuary sword heir shows up late at night. Aren't you worried people will say you're scheming with outsiders? The sanctuary of 10,000 swords now might not even recognize me anymore. This so-called sword heir. You should take a look at this. I can't see the details, but I can feel the sword intent in the painting, like a cold blade hanging high in the sky. A key's voice lowers. It's Gu Wuya. Why are you showing me this? Because in 3 days, the one coming might not be Jiyu Chencheng, but a projection of his sword intent. A sword intent avatar? Gu Wuya has been in seclusion for 20 years. His real body might not be able to leave. But if he sends an incarnation of his sword intent, Sky Sword City won't hold for long. You want Lin Yuan to run? I want him to make his own choice. After the yellow sword array opens, there's an old sword path under the city that leads north to the wastelands. If you go now, you might still have a shot. But Master the Kingly is staying behind as a witness for Lu Jinghong. If I run alone, the Holy Emperor will take it out on them. You can't save everyone, then I won't leave. You can't beat Gu Wuya yet.
I know.
And you're still staying? Some swords, once back down, can never be drawn again. You and I see things differently. You think you know what I'll do? I thought the Ling clan survivor would be filled with hate, only wanting revenge on the sanctuary. Of course I hate them. But a key once said, hate is the easiest thing to be used by others.
A key.
Young Master Jiyu, don't get too familiar. Why are you helping me? Because I want to know about Gu Wuya too. I want to know too. Just what Gu Wuya made from the sanctuary's emperor. Tomorrow at midnight, the Holy Emperor will act. Jiu Chenju will be in charge of catching you. Shendu will trap Shafengju. If you don't run, then be ready to draw a truly deadly sword. For the first time, I really looked at my master's blurry figure and softly said, this time, I'm protecting you instead. Before midnight comes, the wind in Sky Sword City turns cold. The courtyard lamps go out one by one, not blown out, but cut off by some sword intent. Master stands at the gate, Linglong's sword shining faintly. The Kingly stands behind with his sword, his face a bit pale, but he doesn't retreat. I sit on the stone steps in the yard, with dead branches across my knees. A key whispers, they're here. The very next moment, footsteps sound outside the walls. Very quiet, but in perfect step. Jiu Chenju shows up first, gray robe fluttering with no wind. Over a dozen sanctuary sword cultivators follow behind. Each has a faint sword mark on their forehead. Lin Yuan's 3-day grace isn't up. But you're accused of stealing sword intent from the sanctuary. The evidence is solid. Come with me today. And Han Yifeng won't have to suffer. You want Han Yifeng to suffer. And you're making your move in Sky Sword City? Luo Wenzu is already being delayed. No one will save you now. But right after, an even stronger, colder sword intent descends, trapping the city bell inside the city. It's the sword intent of Gu Wuya. An avatar appears before my eyes, and my eyes sting a bit. Even with just an avatar, his sword intent still comes crashing from above. Jiu Chenju raises his hand and stops it. All dozen sword cultivators attack together. Master steps out. Linglong's sword intent spreads out like mist, blocking all the first wave of sword strikes. The Kingly grits his teeth and follows, his swordplay weak but steady. I don't move yet. Because the real kill move isn't with these people. Sure enough, Gu Chenju suddenly vanishes, and next second he's by my side, his 5 fingers like swords, aiming straight for my eyes. The sealed sword belongs to the sanctuary. Hu Zi lifts his hand. Wu Xiang's sword intent meets his fingertips. There's a soft snap. I retreat 3 steps, my palm tingling. Gu Chenju freezes, surprise flashing in his eyes. Huo Wang's sword is already formed? You can even follow my sword's path. I smile. You're slower than Jiu Lingshao. Jiu Chenju's face turns cold. He attacks again. Sword intent turns into chains, slashing from my arms and legs. Don't take it head on. There's a use brand in his sword intent. I pivot, using the plants to move the old tree's branches in the yard. Hundreds of leaves fly up at once, like tiny blades cutting the chains. The moment the chains weaken, my dry branch strikes out, but not at Jiu Chenju. Instead, I jab at the sword mark on those sword cultivators' foreheads. Jiu Chenju's face changes instantly. You dare? Wu Shang intent surges. Some sword cultivators groan at once, their eyes briefly clear. Now their formation breaks. Master grabs that moment. The Lingguang sword cuts through, forcing them back. Hey, what a courtyard you have, Lin Yuan. No wonder the Holy Master insisted on coming. Let the Holy Master see for himself. The Lim family kid's gone 20 years. Kid, don't let him see through your heart. Gu Wuya's sword intent avatar floats in the night sky, not making a move yet, just looking down at me, like I'm some lost thing he's just found again. That look makes me really uncomfortable. I grip the dead branch. You know my parents. Gu Wuya spoke calmly. Just 2 simple words, but the whole courtyard fell silent. Master looks at me. There's worry in his eyes. How did they die? Died for pointless persistence. Don't believe what he says. He's best at calling others' sacrifices foolish. Gu Wuya seems to hear Aki's voice. His gaze shifts slightly. So you're still here? Gu Wuya, haven't seen you in 20 years. You still look like a cold, lifeless sword. How dare you? Lin Yuan? You carry the Lin family's last legacy. With 2 realm-opening swords in your eyes. You're not just any survivor. You're the final key to the Wanji sword core. I finally hear part of the full answer. The Wanji sword core, the key, and the sealing sword. These words pierce into my past like nails. These words are like nails, piercing into my past. A blank 20 years. Come back to the sanctuary with me. I'll show you the whole truth. Your sight can be restored. You'll get the most complete swordsmanship in the world. What's the price? To become master of the sword core? That doesn't sound bad. You just need to let go of useless ties. Like your master, Zhao Hanyi saved you, but also trapped you. Feelings make a sword hesitate. Hesitation taints the sword. My sword doesn't need your judgment. Your father said that too. And then? He lost? Someone fled with a baby. A woman blocked a sword with her body. A man burned his sword blood without looking back. I can't see their faces, but my heart aches like it's tearing open. Aki shouts, waking my mind. A sword cry blasts in my mind. I snap back to reality. Blood at my lips. You see now, they couldn't protect you. Or their own path. Not their own path. All I saw was they never gave me to you, even dying. Then take the key back. Master tries to come forward, but Shen Daoxuan traps him with a sword array. Hanyi, don't make it worse. Shen Daoxuan. This isn't fear, like asking if I'd draw the sword or not. When Gu Wuya's sword intent came down, I didn't step back. Backing off is pointless. That's not Jiu Chenju's chain, and not Lu Jinghong's borrowing. That's will close to the true sword path. I raise the dead branch. My arm splits open instantly. Bloodlines appear. The gap is just too big. Kid, don't force it. If you draw the sword seal now, you'll be blind for life. Might even die. I whisper. If I don't? Aki is silent. If not, Master will die trapped by Shen Daoxuan. The kingly can't stop the sanctuary's swordmasters. Lu Jingheng's evidence will be erased. Tianjin City will fall. Some choices. Never wait for you to be ready. I close my eyes. Darkness. I close my eyes. That one ray of truth still there in the dark. I see two swords in my eyes. One's like morning light. Life carved on its blade. One like endless night. Death on its edge. Right now, the life sword trembles. It's been sealed 20 years, but holds no resentment. Feels like it's waiting for me to speak. I reach out with my mind. Grip the hilt. Pain explodes instantly. In reality, my eyes bleed. Even my bones start to crack. Lin Yu stops. I really want to listen to him. Since I was little, I always listened to him. But not this time. Master. Let me be selfish this once. Gu Wuya's sword pressure suddenly paused. For the first time, Gu Wuya's voice shook, staring at the sword of life. Since you've drawn it, don't hesitate. Use Quomu and Linglong. Protect your heart, not your body. I don't totally get it, but I trust him. The Quenu life sword also bursts out from within and merges with the sword of life. Dead grass in the yard rises again. Broken branches grow new buds.
Even Lu Jingheng's Jingheng sword
Starts to sing softly. I swing my first sword, without killing intent. But Gu Wuya's sword pressure dissolves bit by bit, not shattering it, just taking away his reason to keep pressing. Wherever the sword of life passes, the mark of sword slaves shatters. A few sanctuary swordmasters drop to their knees. Breathing hard, their eyes clear up. The array holding master cracks. Shen Daoxuan's face changes. Maybe he tries to reactivate the array. To trap master again. I turn to look at him. This time I see his outline. Blurry but clear enough to strike. Shen Daoxuan uses the life sword. Light falls. The sword array breaks apart immediately. Master is freed. One sword sends Shen Daoxuan back. Jiyu Chenju charges in fury. But Ji Yu Lingshao blocks him with a sword from the wall. Elder, that's enough. You really want to betray the sanctuary. If only sword slaves and body thieves remain in the sanctuary, then what if I betray? In the night sky, Gu Wuya looks down on everything. His avatar is dimmed by the sword of life's light, but doesn't disappear. He stares at me and says slowly, "You are more dangerous than your father." Blood pours from my eyes, but I still smile. Then you'd better remember that. Gu Wuya raises his hand. Seems like he might draw again. But from the city lord's mansion, a bell rings out. Finally, from afar. The city lord's mansion. A bell sounds, and finally breaks the seal. Crow, Tanjian City isn't your sword pool. In 3 months, the sanctuary opens, Lin Yuan. You'll come yourself. Night sky returns to calm. The sword of life's glow fades from my hand, turns back into the seal in my eyes. The next moment I collapse. The last thing I hear is Master's panicked voice. I think this is the first time I've heard him sound so scared. When I wake up, 3 days have passed. The room smells of medicine. Faint, but it reminds me of Hanye. The smell of Master brewing herbs in the winter. I open my eyes. The world is still blurry. But it's not just light and shadow anymore. I see the outline of the window lattice. See the teacup on the table. A woman in white sits by the bed. Master seems to be asleep. Hand still on my pulse. I want to speak, but my throat is so dry. A tiny sound wakes him. He instantly leans over. I nod. For a moment, there's light in his eyes, but he quickly hides it. Back to calm. Don't move. You forced out the sword of life. Your eyes and sword meridian are hurt. Is everyone okay? The kingly is lightly injured. Lu Jingheng is being protected by Tianjin City. Tianjin City is protected. Jiyu Lingshao will stay in the city for now. The Holy Land has temporarily retreated. Then I noticed a strand of white in my master's hair. It was thin but glaring. I froze. Master. Your hair. He turned his face slightly, like he didn't want me to see. It hurt my heart. It's nothing. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear that. If you feel you owe me, then live well. Stop treating yourself like a disposable arrow. Okay. Senior Lin, you finally woke up. Do you know you've slept for 3 days? Sect Master Zhao barely slept. Kingly. On the first day, Tianjin City announced the sword slave oath to all of Dongwang. The prestige of Wanjin Holy Land dropped. Wanjin Holy Land's reputation took a hit. They won't make a move publicly for a while. Second, Shen Duxuan has returned to King Xuan.
He announced Han Yifeng as a traitor.
In 3 days, he'll start the... He actually has the nerve to judge our sect. Judge, huh? He's not judging you. He just wants to silence all opposition in King Xuan. Under the pressure from the Holy Land. I need to go back. You can't move. Han Yifeng is my home. If my home is being torn apart, how could I just stand by? After a moment's silence, my master helped me put on my coat. Then let's go back together. 3 months later is the Wanjin Holy Land event. But before that, I have to return to Qingyuan first. I need to take Han Yifeng back from Shenduxuan. On the way back to Qingquan, I didn't see him. It's not that I don't want to. It's just that now when I use my sword intent, everything gets blurry, like Fogmaster said. That's backlash from forcibly drawing the holy sword. You need to rest and move your sword less. And don't push yourself. I listened carefully. Then I asked him, but what if Shen Duxuan attacks first? You hide. Hide behind me. Master. That sounds really familiar. Because you've heard it all your life. Han Yi, Qing Shan. Things should feel heavy along this journey, but with him here, he always makes things feel lighter, like water in a pot that hasn't boiled yet, deep in the woods. Lu Jinghong is with us too. His injuries aren't healed. He still looks pale, hugging the Jinghong sword, quiet as a stone on the road. The Kingly can't stand him, and keeps throwing sarcastic comments. Senior Lu, weren't you talkative before? Why so silent now? Most things I used to say weren't that nice. So I talk less now. Consider it good karma. The Kingly choked on that. One actually found it funny. If someone falls from a high place, can they get back up again? Depends if after they shatter, they're willing to pick up the pieces. Lu Jinghong's still picking up the pieces, one at a time. Lu Jinghong's still picking up, slow, but better than pretending it didn't happen. Luo Wenzu isn't with us.
He stayed at Tianjin City.
Helping us keep Wanjin Holy Land in check. But he gave me a green jade sword talisman.
He said if King Xuan really pushes Han Yifeng too far,
just break it, Tianjin City will back us up. I held the sword talisman and gave my thanks. Luo Wenzu smiled and said, no need to thank me. I just don't want the sword spirit of Donghuang to turn into. Whoever has the biggest fist gets to decide everything. Suddenly, I realized, Donghuang isn't all cold swords. At least someone wants to help when the rules are about to be broken. Bend down and put things back in place. When I returned to King Xuan's gate, the sky was getting dark. The entrance was crowded with disciples. From the main peak, from the law hall, and even old friends from Han Yifeng's outer sect. When they saw us, everyone reacted differently. Some averted their eyes. Some sneaked a peek. One even whispered, Senior Lin is back. It was soft, but I heard it. Shen Duxuan didn't come himself. Elder Zhou came instead. He stood on the stone steps at the gate, holding the sect leader's order. His voice was cold and harsh. Han Shanxi Lin, Yuan the Qingliu. Lu Jinghong left the sect without permission, caused trouble at the sword event, and colluded with outsiders. Report to the law hall for trial now. We fought for King Xuan. We brought honor to King Xuan, and you call that causing trouble? So when you lose all the time, you're following the rules, huh?
Enough.
My master looked up and said only 2 words, lead the way. Elder Zhou froze. Guess he thought we'd argue at the gate, then use it as an excuse to accuse us of defiance. But my master didn't. Neither did I, because the real things to say aren't meant for a few at the entrance. If we're talking, let's take it to the law hall, in front of all of King Xuan. The law hall was all lit up. Shen Duxuan sat at the main seat. Elders packed both sides. Lu Jinghong's master was there too. When that elder saw Lu Jinghong, his eyes flickered, but in the end he said nothing. I heard his fingers trembling ever so slightly inside his sleeve. Such silence, not coldness, just a weight of too many rules and fears. He's not sure if he can even speak. Shen Daoxuan looked at us, his voice still steady. Xiaohani, do you admit your guilt? My master replied, I do not. You hid Lin Yuan, disobeyed the sect's orders, and clashed with the Holy Land at the sword event, putting King Xuan in danger, and still say you're guiltless. My master calmly replied, I only know I saved someone. I saved a child, protected a disciple, and upheld the bottom line a King Xuan swordsman should keep. Shen Daoxuan's gaze turned cold. Lin Yuan, what about you? I stood with a dry branch in the hall, my vision still not clear, but I could see his outline, and feel the sword intent in him, more restless than before, like a cold-blooded beast trapped in a cage, desperate to break out. I said, I also don't admit guilt. You publicly cut ties with the King Xuan master, and still say you're innocent? I cut off your abuse of sect authority for personal gain, not the sect's founding principles. The hall went silent. Shen Daoxuan slowly stood up. You're just a disciple. You dare judge the sect leader? I didn't back down. If the sect master is still truly the master, I'll treat him as such. But if he becomes someone else's puppet, filled with corruption, then let me ask, should King Xuan's sword stay sheathed? How dare you, Elder Zhou? You better not rush. You don't have the Sacred Land's sword aura, but you do have traces of 7 times carrying messages for them. Just some nonsense lingering. I smiled lightly. The formless sword intent spread out. Several sword lamps in the hall lit up at once. The sword lamps are ancient artifacts from the Hall of Enforcement. They say it can test if a disciple is hiding something. It used to be just for show, because for years no one dared to really use them. But now the sword lamp shines on Elder Zhou. 7 faint gray sword lights show at his cuffs. The hall erupts. Elder Zhou steps half a step back. This is impossible. A key muttered lazily in my mind. I saw this message tool years ago. Well, hidden. But afraid of the sword lamp. The Hall of Enforcement wants to investigate. Then let's investigate thoroughly. Before Shen Hanyi's case, let's see first who secretly paved the way for King Xuan to the Sacred Land. Shen Daoxuan's face finally turned dark. He raised his hand and the sword lamp dimmed. Enough. The master stepped forward. The Linglong sword heart is clear. The sect leader's afraid now. Shen Daoxuan stared at him. Hanyi, you really want to force me? It was you who forced King Xuan. A white-haired elder suddenly stood up.
He is the Scripture Pavilion elder.
He rarely speaks, but now his voice trembled. Sect leader. If the sword lamp is lit, it should shine to the end. You want to side with Han Yufeng too? I'm not taking Han Yufeng's side, or the main peak side. I stand with the sword's return left by our King Xuan founder. Once you have the first, others will join. Lu Jinghong's master finally stood up. He looked at Lu Jinghong. His voice was hoarse. Jinghong, you speak. Lu Jinghong knelt, holding his sword. He wasn't kneeling to Shen Daoxuan, but before the founder's portrait. Disciple Lu Jinghong once envied Lin Yuan, once craved outside power, once believed the sect leader, and accepted the sacred emperor's sword brand. Almost became someone else's pawn. This was my fault. I'm willing to accept punishment by sect rules. But the sect leader did send a file to the sacred emperor, using Lin Yuan for his own gain. That is also true. It's all true. I'll swear on my sword. Shen Daoxuan didn't stop him, because he couldn't anymore. The sword revealed the hidden message in the hall. Everyone saw it clearly. I heard many disciples breathing falter. Maybe they once doubted Han Yifeng, doubted me or the master. But with proof in front of them, they finally realized the Qingshuan sect, the mountain they looked up to, had already been hollowed out inside. Shen Daoxuan was silent a long time. Suddenly he smiled. You think this is enough to shake me?
He raised his hand.
A huge sword cry came from deep in the main peak. The whole Qingshuan range trembled. The white-haired elder's face fell. Sect leader, you want to activate the Qingshuan sect sword array? Shen Daoxuan's voice was icy. Qingshuan cannot have chaos. If someone wants chaos, I'll suppress it first. The sword array started. Countless sword intents rose outside, like a huge net falling on Han Yifeng's side. My master was about to draw his sword, but I held his wrist first. Let me, master. He frowned. If I don't take your eyes. A live sword, I whispered. Today we'll draw Qingshuan's own sword. The sect's sword array is strong. But it's not Shen Daoxuan's blade. It's a sword left by the elders to protect us. A sword to guard the sect. If Shen Daoxuan uses it for defense, it's a defensive sword array. If he uses it to suppress the innocent, it'll hesitate. And as long as the sword hesitates, the formless sword intent can still ask, who do you really want to protect? I closed my eyes, focused on the 108 sword shadows shaking in the array, heard Han Yifeng's anxious winds and snow, heard the lighter swords at the burial gold pavilion, heard the old sword before the founder's portrait. After a long silence, it finally let out a sigh-like sound. A system prompt sounded, detected a lingering echo in the Qingshuan sacred sword array. You may try to question the sword. Risk, moderate. Question the sword? In my mind I said, ask. Next moment all the sword lamps in the hall shone brightly. The branch in my hand wasn't any stronger. I hadn't reached some invincible level. Just all the swords aimed at Han Yifeng stopped mid-air. It's like they remembered something, remembered why they were forged. Not to cover for the leader, but to protect all disciples, to guard the sect's honor. Shen Daoxuan's face changed. What did you do? I did nothing. I just asked if they still remembered the name Qingshuan. As my voice faded, the sacred sword array reversed direction, not attacking Shen Daoxuan, but cutting off his ties to the sword seal outside. The sacred seal inside him instantly reacted. He swayed, looking pale. Jiu Chunzhou's voice echoed from far away. Shen Daoxuan can't even suppress a junior now. Shen Daoxuan shouted, "Shut up!" Everyone heard him clearly. The white-haired elder closed his eyes. Sect leader, so you really have been working with the sacred land. After a long silence, Shen Daoxuan. It was like he lost all strength. I just wanted to make Qingshuan stronger. The sacred land gave us sword books, gave us resources, gave us a path forward. Where was I wrong? You were wrong to use your disciples as bargaining chips. To treat the sect like a stepping stone. To make swordsmanship a trade. Hanyi. If you'd handed the pear garden over years ago, Qingshuan wouldn't be what it is today. If I gave up on him, I wouldn't be myself or Qingshuan. And I wouldn't be worthy of Qingshuan. Our sect rules. Any leader who's controlled by an outside seal must give up the sword command token. Shen Daoxuan, step down. Elder Zhou, don't make another mistake. Elder Zhou looked at the shining sword lamps in the hall. Finally, he lowered his head in defeat. Shen Daoxuan stood for a long time. Until outside the hall, the sky was growing bright. At last, he took out the command token. and placed it before the founder's portrait. I can step down. But Lin Yuan, do you really think it ends here? The sacred land never gives up on what it wants. They never do.
I know.
Then you still dare come back to King Xuan. Because before coming home, you always have to sweep the doorstep clean. Shen Duxuan is sealed by the sacred sword array. His power was sent to the back mountain. The cliff of reflection isn't for punishment. It's not to shame him, just to let him stand before the founding sword wall. And listen again for the sword's first song. Elder Zhou and others were also held by the Hall of Enforcement, to be dealt with by the main peaks together. How should all the peaks handle this together? The sect leader's position is vacant for now. Please, Master Zhao, take charge temporarily. I only manage Hanyi Peak. I can't handle everyone eating, building, and arguing. Master, you make it sound like the leader cooks porridge all day. In the end, King Xuanju Peak picked a white-haired elder to manage things. Master oversees the sword law. I went back to Hanyi Peak because I really need to heal. Hanyi Peak got lively again. Disciples who used to avoid the main peak now secretly come up. Now they all sneak up the mountain. Some bring medicine. Some bring spirit fruit. Someone brought a chubby little spirit crane. The kingly loved it so much. He named it Zhao Bai. I petted the little crane. Seriously, it's not little at all. The name should be opposite, so it thinks it can still grow. I went silent. Master sipped tea nearby. He actually chuckled. These days felt unreal, like a peaceful dream. Every morning I practiced sword. Not much. Just 3 times. First, everything is a weapon. Second, invisible sword listening. Third, no sword at all. Just sitting in the snow, listening to the cold wains. Listening to Hanyi Peak. Peak thinks you're too slow. If you practice like this, after 3 months in the sacred land, you'll probably perform with a twigs, shaking it 3 times for Gu Wuya. That might be good. At least it's something new. Your energy here isn't flowing right. Guide it back to your danshin first. Don't rush the sword. And this bit of invisible sword intent is too forced. You need to pull it back. Lu Jinghong stayed in the small yard outside Hanyi Peak. He didn't enter Hanyi Peak, just came daily to sweep snow at the mountain path. Are you making amends? Or stealing chores from the disciples? Both, I guess. Later, some outer disciples came up, seeing the former top disciple sweeping snow. They were too scared to walk. Lu Jinghong made way and said, "Slow down." The snow's slippery, the disciple nearly fell right there. I heard it and laughed for ages. Lu Jinghong didn't mind. He just looked at his Jinghong sword. Softly said, "Back then, I always wanted to stand in front of everyone. Now I realize. Letting others walk safely, isn't that hard?" In 3 months, the East Wilds kept buzzing. Sword Sacred Land didn't open its doors. Jiu Lingshao sent 2 letters. The first said the sacred lands split inside. Many elders hate Gu Wuya's tough control, but no one dares to oppose him. The second only said, on mountain opening day in 3 months. Gu Wuya will test you with 10,000 swords. Don't just think about winning. Think about what he's most afraid you'll do. I read the letter 3 times. Master asked if I understood yet. I shook my head, still missing something. Master handed me a bowl of medicine. Drink the medicine first. I smelled the bitterness. It stopped me cold. Master. I suddenly felt Gu Wuya wasn't so scary. The kingly tried not to laugh beside me. Master calmly said he drank the bitter stuff. Even my invisible sword intent fell quiet. Aki was gleeful, laughing. Kid, this is what a real demon sword's like. Finally, the 3-month mark arrived. We set off for Sword Sacred Land. The 3-month mark finally arrived. We set off for Sword Sacred Land. Sword Sacred Land is full of fierce sword energy. If you rush there using spiritual power, it's easy for your energy to get messed up. Better to walk like a regular person. Better to walk like a regular person. Take it slow. Look around. I'm driving the wagon outside, still holding that dried branch, under greenwood sword energy. The branch isn't rotten. It's gotten a soft jade color instead. Feels like a well-polished jade stone. The kingly sits in the wagon, hugging a hot bag of osmanthus cake, eating happily. Zhao Bai, that fat, sphere-like spirit crane flaps its wings, trying to snatch a bite from his hands. Zhao Bai, if you eat more, you can't fly. The kingly angrily raised the cake higher. Zhao Bai made lime sounds to protest, pushing his wrist with its round head. Master's gentle laugh came from inside. Kingly, give him half. He's still growing. The kingly pouted, grumbled, and handed over half a cake. Zhao Bai gulped it down and let out a satisfied burp. I listened to the lively scene behind me, couldn't help but smile. These everyday moments are ordinary, but precious. Whenever I hear their voices, I quietly remind myself. I draw my sword to protect these voices. Lu Jinghong rides a normal horse, silently following the wagon. His Jinghong sword is wrapped in rough cloth, carried on his back. For these 3 months, he didn't use any sword energy. He really became like an ordinary guard. Lu Senior, Feiyan Town's ahead. Feiyan Town is up ahead. Should we stop for a break? Okay, I'll scout ahead and buy some top-tier calming tea. Vanished in Love River, watching him ride off. A key clicked his tongue in my mind. The guy's really hidden his edge now.
His old Jinghong sword.
Used to want the world to see its sharpness. Now it's like a hidden blunt iron. I smiled a little. Blunt iron is sometimes harder to break than a sharp sword. He found his own sheath. Feiyan Town is the only way to sword sacred land. In town, lots of sword cultivators are already gathering. We just sat down at an inn and heard people talking around us. Did you hear? Sword sacred land is really opening up this time. It's not just about welcoming back the Lone Soul Lord. They're also unlocking the legendary sword pavilion. Isn't the pavilion Forbidden's territory for the sacred land? They say it's got the purest sword origin inside. Yeah, Jiu Lord passed the word down. Anyone can try. As long as you get accepted by the pavilion, you can skyrocket instantly. Don't believe their nonsense. Sword origin? Really? It's just the outer shell of the 10,000 world sword embryo. Jiu family can't wait anymore. Our family can't wait now. Wants to use the sword intent of all cultivators to force that thing to mature. Kid, a sword can be used to protect. But if someone wants to put all swords in their own sheath, that's absolute control. That's right, Gu Wuya thinks people's swords are too chaotic, too unpredictable. He wants no sword left that can hurt him, nor any sword allowed to unsheath without his say. No more talking, just finish the warm tea. If Gu Wuya's Dao restricts everything, my invisible sword lets everything be free. 3 days later, we finally reached Sword Sacred Land's gate. A huge floating island hovers in midair, surrounded by 12 sword peaks, like 12 giant swords piercing the clouds. Waterfalls spill down the edges. Even the water is full of sword energy. Sunlight shines, reflecting 10,000 dazzling rays, beautiful enough to take your breath away. So spectacular, so magnificent. This is the true power behind Dongwang's sword sect. In front of the gate, a staircase made of white jade leads straight into the clouds. On each side, disciples in white fill the stairs. Their expressions are cold and stern. Their auras are steady and strong. Each of them is like an unsheathed sword. Elder Jiu Chenju stands at the top of the stairs. He looks down at me from above. King Xuan sect, you finally arrived. His voice is cold as ice. No emotion whatsoever. I grip my withered branch. Step by step, I walk forward. I calmly announce, King Xuan sect. Lin Yuan is here as promised. Sect Master Lin Yuan is merciful and gives you a chance. If you want into the Holy Land, then climb this heart-questioning stairway yourself. There are 999 steps in total. Each step holds ancient sword intent. If you can reach the top, you earn the right to meet the sect master. Senior Lin's eyes don't work well. Aren't you just making things hard for him? I raise my hand to stop the Kinglin. I face the stairway. With my blurry sword eye vision, I see the stairway's true form. It's not a path to test the heart, but 999 ancient sword souls trapped in the jade steps. The swords in these steps are all weeping. The swords in these steps are all crying. What's this crazy talk? How can swords cry? A blind man is still blind. I think he's just scared, probably just looking for excuses. Swords are lifeless objects. Only when wielded by people do they show their true edge. Lin Yuan, stop pretending. If you don't dare, just admit defeat now. I ignore their mockery. Gently, I tap the first step with the withered branch. Aki, let's go. All right, kid. Let's show them what real sword intent means. As I take the first step, the ancient sword spirit in the step seems to awaken. Like a tiger, it lunges at me. I don't dodge. The withered branch in my hand trembles slightly. The sword intent brushes past like a spring breeze. It's not resistance.
It's soothing.
I hear the unwillingness and exhaustion in that intent. In my heart, I say, thanks for everything. Rest now. Amazingly, the wild intent turns gentle. It circles my finger once, then fades away like a gentle breeze. All pressure from the step vanishes. I easily walk up to the second, third, fourth steps. Step 3. Step 4. The whole place goes silent. Everyone stares in shock at what's happening. To them, I look less like I'm climbing a dangerous stairway, and more like I'm strolling in my backyard. Those ancient sword intense, enough to overwhelm normal sword cultivators, making every step a struggle. They're as tame as house cats before me. No earth-shaking clashes, no blazing explosions, just the sound of a breeze brushing by my clothes. The tap of the branch on jade echoes clear. What did he just do? A Holy Land disciple stammers. No spiritual energy fluctuations. No sign of anything special. How did he just dispel the sword's power? Jiyu Chenju's face turns ugly. He suddenly waves his sleeve, silently activating an array deep in the steps. In a flash, hundreds of sword intents in the second half of the stairway erupt at once. They form a tidal wave of dazzling sword light, rushing straight at me. Liu, be careful. Since you all don't want to be trapped here, so let me borrow the gentle jade-turning bamboo boat. Let me use it for a bit. Swing the withered branch. Original sword technique. All things can become soldiers. Anything can be used as a sword. The wind upon these steps. The wind atop the jade. Even the healing light on the street. And those wild sword intents themselves. All answer my call at this moment. Formless intent becomes an invisible giant net. Not to capture, but to guide. That tsunami of sword light, when it touches my branch, miraculously splits in two, and sweeps around me, becoming two dazzling ribbons of light, crowding around my sides. I walk on the sword light straight to the top. Jiyu Chenju is forced back 3 steps, by that gentle, yet unstoppable force, stunned. That's witchcraft. I put away the branch as the light ribbons vanish, turning into a shower of starlight. Not a single flower or blade of grass was harmed. There isn't even a trace of blood. Call it swordsmanship or witchery. Doesn't matter. I've made it up here. Now you can take me to see Gu Wuya. Just then, a crisp round of applause comes from ahead. Jiu Lingshao, dressed in a pale robe, walks out of the clouds. His gaze is even deeper than 3 months ago. And he gives me a faint smile. Lin Yuan, you didn't let me down, elder. Now that he's made it to the top. He's an honored guest of our Holy Land. I'll take him to Wanji Swordfield next. Jiu Chenju grits his teeth. But Jiu Lingshao is the sword heir of the Holy Land, so he's got to show respect. All he can do is snort and leave. He swishes his sleeve and walks off. My master, the Kingly, and Lu Jingheng also come up another regular path and meet up with me. Come on, the sect master is waiting for you in the sword hall. Remember what I said. Don't focus only on winning. The Myriad Sword Hall is a crystal clear glazed tower. It stands deep in the Holy Land, Everything around is silent. You can even hear the sound of falling leaves. Push open the tower doors. Inside is not a cramped room, but a vast starry sky. Every star is a legendary sword. They float quietly in the void, glowing with a soft aura. Some are pure as snow, some as bright as fire, some deep and blue as the sea. There is no sense of oppression here. It's beautiful like a dream. But with my sword eye vision, behind these pretty stars are countless invisible threads. All of the threads gather at the deepest point in the starry sky. Someone sits there. Gu Wuya sits there in spotless white robes. A person sits there. Gu Wuya wears a white robe, clean as new snow, with an ancient zither in front of him. Its strings aren't silk or bamboo, but pure sword intent. He doesn't look at us, just absent-mindedly plucks a string. A clear note echoes through the hall. Next, 1,000 stars start to flicker together, emitting a resonance. Lin Yuan, you've come. Gu Wuya has a pleasant voice, gentle and refined, but still so aloof. I step forward, holding up my withered branch. Gu Wuya, I'm here to take back the truth about the Lin family. The truth? The truth is, your parents sacrificed themselves to seal the 2 swords in your eyes to protect you. They weren't lying. Years ago, Lin Yuan's parents were cornered by Gu Wuya. To keep Gu Wuya from taking the twin swords of life and death, they used a family technique, sealing both swords into your eyes, sacrificing themselves in the process. That's why your parents' presence has always been in your eyes. That's why your eyes always carry their spirit. I grip my withered branch tighter, my knuckles turning white. There's no angry outburst, only a heavy, powerless sadness. There's a deep, helpless sorrow. They didn't die in bloody battles. They became the warmest light in the world. They protected me for 20 years. Why did they do that? Because they were foolish. Because they were foolish. They didn't understand. Only by focusing all sword intent into one place can you create the perfect myriad realms sword embryo. There's too much pointless fighting in this world. Too many things are beyond control. If I become the master of the sword embryo, I can make every swordsman follow my rules. From then on, there will be no conflict. And those swords of life and death you care about are the final key to awaken the sword embryo. Lin Yuan, hand them to me. I'll give you the ultimate glory. We'll share peace across all realms. I looked at him, then suddenly laughed. This so-called peace is endless. The peace you talk about is caging all the birds, and then telling them, this is the sky. I pointed to the shining stars around us. Look at these swords. They look beautiful, but they're lifeless inside. You used threads? Chen, you controlled them with threads. You drained away their spirit. You're not the master of swords. You're just a thief, a coward scared of losing control. Gu Wuya's eyes turned cold at last. Stubborn. He gently waved his hand. Suddenly the stars spun around. Thousands of legendary swords became a dazzling meteor shower, raining down on us.
It was a breathtaking sight.
No ruthless, bloody killing, just pure brilliance and beauty. Protect Senior Lin. The kingly drew her sword, standing in front of me. Lu Jingheng also drew his sword without hesitation. Their blades shone like silver, guarding our flank. Master stepped forward with her Linglong sword intent, letting it shine brightly. It turned into a giant ice lotus, shielding all of us inside. The meteors crashed onto the ice lotus, with crisp crystal sounds. Ripples of beauty spread out. Gu Wuya stood behind the meteor shower, his face calm as ever. Zhaohan, your Linglong sword intent is pure. But you can't protect her. All these swords in the myriad realms tower. He strummed the zither again. A wave of music seemed to ripple out, piercing through the ice lotus's defense, shaking our souls. The kingly grunted, a trace of sharp white mist from the backlash of spirit power at her lips. Her steps unsteady. Lu Jingheng's sword made an agonized cry. He gritted his teeth, holding on with everything he had. Master's face turned pale. The Linglong sword intent flickering like crazy, about to go out at any moment. I panicked inside for my master. Don't worry about us. Master glanced back at me, her eyes full of trust and determination. Ling Yuan, go do what you have to. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. Jiu Lingshao's words echoed in my ears. What is he most afraid of you doing? What is Gu Wuya afraid of?
He's afraid of losing control.
Afraid the swords he's chained will break free if I fight him head-on with brute force. That's just what he wants. Because in this world he created, his power is endless. I don't need to defeat him. I need to set the swords free. Aki, I called softly in my heart. Kid, I've been waiting for this a long time. Aki's voice was full of carefree confidence. This old bag of bones will go wild with you today. Open up all your senses. I pushed boundless sword intent to the max. My truth-seeking sword eyes weren't fully unsealed, but right now they glowed weak but steady. In my senses, the world became a huge web. Gu Wuya at the center, and the swords, like insects caught in the web. I raised that smooth old branch. No insects left. I raised the gentle old branch, but didn't swing at Gu Wuya or the flying meteors coming toward me. Instead, I gently tapped one invisible string in the air. Just then, a crisp, shattering sound told me the string was cut. A sword star that was under control suddenly froze in midair, like a newborn waking up. It spun around, confused, then chirped joyfully. It was free? Gu Wuya's face changed. What did you do? I didn't answer. The branch moved like a storm. Ping! Ping, ping, ping! A flurry of glass-shattering notes rippled across the tower, like a cheerful melody. I moved fast, weaving through the meteor shower. With every swing, another string snapped, pushing the realm of battle to the limit. I borrowed the power of freed swords to cut more strings. Damn it, Gu Wuya finally lost his cool. He shot to his feet, his hands playing the zither madly, trying to regain control. But awakened will can't be forced down. The swords that broke free didn't attack Gu Wuya, but circled around me, like a bunch of excited kids. Ju Haiyang, just you wait. It's over. Gu Wuya's eyes flashed with madness. Even if the web breaks, as long as I get your eyes, I can still rebuild the sword tower. He tossed his zither aside, turning into a towering sword of light, and slashed right at me. This strike held all his power. No tricks, just pure destruction. The pressure was suffocating. The seal of the sword in my eyes trembled hard. Kid, this is the Washeng sword. Use my support sword soul as a bridge, and call for your parents' strength. Then I felt the warm sword soul that always kept me company suddenly burn bright. Aki was burning himself, using up his last bit of existence. I felt a rush of emotion. Don't cry now. Old man like me, today I did something earth-shaking. Kid next door. From now on, you're on your own. But his burning paved the way for me to draw my sword. I raised my hand and pressed it to my eyes. The life sword unsheathed. This time, no blood, no pain, just a dazzling, incredibly warm light pouring from my eyes. Inside that light, I seemed to see my father's broad back, my mother's gentle smile. They didn't say a word. They simply became the toughest shield in the world, standing in front of me. The life sword isn't meant for killing. It's a sword to protect. It turned into a starry river, crashing head-on into Gu Wuya's destruction. Sword of light versus sword of life collided in midair. No gigantic explosions, no deafening booms, just light merging with light. Sword intent pressing against sword intent. Gu Wuya's sword of light began to melt away. Against the tide of the starry river, his so-called absolute control seemed so weak in front of true protection and freedom. He couldn't accept it. No, this can't be. Gu Wuya roared in fury. Just then, my master dropped the ice lotus. He soared into the air, the Linglong sword intent turning into the purest sword energy and merging into my life sword's starry river. Ling Yuan, let me borrow your sword. The Supreme Master's voice echoed through the hall. The Linglong sword intent is one of the purest origins of swordsmanship in the world.
Its power.
instantly brought the life sword to its peak. The starry river surged back and swallowed Gu Wuya. When the light faded, the myriad realms soared. Sword Pavilion is peaceful again. Gu Wuya dropped to the ground. His spotless white robe now looked a bit messy. He wasn't hurt at all. Not a single drop of blood was shed.
He didn't even lose a single hair.
But he suddenly seemed 10 years older. My sword embryo. I put away the life sword. The seals on my eyes were finally lifted. For the first time in 20 years, I truly saw the world. I saw my master's somewhat pale, but comforted face. I saw tears in the kingly's eyes. I saw Lu Jinghong's relieved smile. And I saw Gu Wuya sitting weakly on the ground. His cultivation was gone because his power rested on controlling all swords. Once all those strings were cut, once his conviction was crushed, his foundation in the sword was destroyed too.
He's no longer the almighty sword lord.
He's just a powerless man now. For a swordsman, that's more devastating than death. But he didn't die. He'll carry that despair and live on as an ordinary man. I left him alone. Instead, I turned and looked at those stars flying through the air. They let out clear, ringing cries, almost like they were saying goodbye. Then they turned into streams of light and burst out from Sword Pavilion, scattering to all directions in the east. Leaving the Sword Pavilion, they flew off to the four corners of the east. They're off to find someone who truly understands them. Off to start their own legend. From now on, the Sword Pavilion is just an empty tower. Leave him to me. The Holy Land also needs a new beginning. Who knows what Jiu Lingshao will turn the Sword Land into? Maybe a true place for sword duels. No more sword slaves. No more control. Just pure sword sparring. I can't wait to see it. I said sincerely. 3 months later, Qingshuan sect, Hanyi Peak, winter. The snow just began to melt. Gentle blue flowers bloomed everywhere on the mountain. The sunlight was wonderful, warm and comforting on my body. I sat on a stone bench in the yard, carefully wiping a withered branch with a soft cloth. Now it's completely turned to jade, clear and sparkling. It looks beautiful. My eyes are fully healed now, but I still keep the habit of listening with my eyes closed each day. Some things just can't be seen with your eyes. Brother Lin, come quick. The kingly rushed into the yard like the wind, waving a red invitation. Zhao Bai fluttered after him, fatter than 3 months ago. He flew like a floating rice ball. What's up? What's going on with the rice ball? It's an invitation from Jiu Lingshao. He says the sword land has been rebuilt. He's inviting us to the new sword tournament. He also said, this time there's no weird rules. Whoever wins can take home the best 1000-day liquor from the Holy Land cellar. Jiu Lingshao's getting more down to earth. Where's Master? Peak Master Zhao is teaching Brother Lu swordplay in the back mountain. Brother Lu is amazing these days.
He formed his sword heart again.
He's not as sharp as before, but he's deeper now, Peak Master Zhao said. Maybe one day, he'll create his own unique bracelet sword. I nodded, truly happy inside. Everyone has found their place. That's really great. While I was saying that, Master and Lu Jinghong came back from the back mountain. Master wore a pale blue long dress. Her former icy look was gone, showing gentleness and grace. Her exquisite sword heart, nourished by my life sword, was not only completely healed, but even stronger than before. She reached a perfect state. Her white hair had also turned black again. What are you talking about? Going to the sword land to win their liquor, of course. How's your sword training? If you lose, don't say you're my student. I stood up, twisting my wrist. The withered branch traced a graceful arc in midair. No sharp sword aura, no thunderous might, just the old locust tree in the yard, as if sensing something, gently swaying. A few green leaves floated down, landing on my shoulder. Formless sword, in tune with everything. I looked at my master, at the kingly,
At Lu Jinghong.
at this vibrant wintry wind, bright sky above, the fresh scent of wind through the grass. I smiled and spoke up, my voice clear and steady. Don't worry, master. Holding the jade-like branch, I grinned. My sword, What is it? The wind goes through Hanyu Peak. The grass bends gently. The sky is high, clouds light. Sword intent remains. But nobody knows. Deep in my right eye, that destruction sword still holds a trace of black sword light, not yet faded. The life sword has been drawn, protecting those I care for. But what the destruction sword truly has to cut through might still be out in distant worlds. This story has a long way to go. But for now, this is the perfect ending.